This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area. This, this should be played. This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Shalom, Salama, Siyemi, Shalom, family abroad. Welcome back to another Red Letter Roundtable reading the Jasher. Can't wait to get started. Shalom to you always, Shauna Shade. And Auntie Cam 2 player, once you come back on in, go ahead and say what's happening, family.
Shalom, family. How are you?
Shalom, man.
We find you in.
Showing up. Oh, can't wait to get started. We're about to get it in today. Oh, see, I had this idea earlier on. I was going to go ahead and post this picture right quick because it's a picture of this shirt that I like wearing, you know, whenever I do a live on Coon Book or something like that. And it's this old picture of Mike Tyson in his prime. And then around it, it says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. All right. So that's one of my favorite shirts to wear is everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. You know, and so that's part of what we're going to find out or we're going to see that's written in Jasher in these next coming chapters right here because they had a plan until they got punched in the mouth.
I had to move my mic, man. I was laughing too hard.
Oh yeah, family. Like it's yes, that facts right there. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Happy to see you too, sis. Definitely. But yes, facts. Everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into these scripts. Oh, I can't wait. Let's see here. Add this on up and full screen it. And so as a quick little recap, we just got done seeing how all these kings had showed up to come against the sons of Jacob for what they had just got done doing and laying waste to Shechem, to that whole city. Two of them, just Simeon and Levi, lay waste to the whole place. And then after they all assembled to go ahead and go to war with them, you know, the wise men started to brag and boast. Not really brag and boast, but tell the truth about what has done for us and how he loves us and how he's fond of us and how we are fond of him. And it's those things, by those things. And they wise men said that, yeah, right here. Right here, when the kings of the Amorites heard all the words of their advisors, their hearts were filled with terror, and they were afraid of the sons of Jacob and would not fight against them. Because, oh, this right here is the sentence. Surely you know and understand that you do not come to fight with them, but you come to war with their Elohim who made choice of them. And you have therefore all come this day to be destroyed. That right there, that part, family. It's that part right there. That's the confidence and the love that we need to show for our people. All right. That's the confidence we need to walk in. But at the same time, that same confidence is not to build such conceitedness to where we acting a daggone fool. It's that confidence that should have us healing our hoods and letting our neighbors know that that's our Father on the throne, and He's made choice of us. So, and it's time to come back to Him. All right, it's time to come back to Him. Shalom, salamah, siyemi to you always, Miss B. Good looking out. Thank you for showing on up. Wanted to go ahead and say that as I look over at my phone a little bit. So let's go ahead and get on into this this chapter 36 right here without any further ado. At that time, Yahuwah appeared unto Jacob, saying, Arise, go to Bethel, and remain there, and make there an altar unto Yahuwah, who appeareth unto thee, who delivered thee and thy sons from affliction. And Jacob rose up with his sons, and all belonging to him, and they went and came to Bethel according to the word of Yahuwah. And Jacob was 99 years old when he went up to Bethel. And Jacob and his sons and all the people that were with him remained in Bethel in Luz. And he there built an altar to Yahuwah, who appeared to him, or appeared unto him. And Jacob and his sons remained in Bethel 6 months. At that time died Deborah, the daughter of Uz, the nurse of Rebekah, who had been with Jacob, and Jacob buried her beneath Bethel under an oak that was there. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the mother of Jacob, also died at that time in Hebron, the same as is Kirith Arba or Kirat Arba. And she was buried in the cave of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth. And the life of Rebekah was 133 years, and she died. And when Jacob heard of his mother Rebekah, that his mother Rebekah was dead, he wept bitterly for his mother, and made a great mourning for her, and for Deborah, her nurse, beneath the oak. And he called the name of that place Alan Bakhut. Sorry, family. We're drinking a little bit of coffee. And Laban the Syrian died in those days, for Elohim smote him because he transgressed the covenant that existed between him and Jacob. And Jacob was 100 years old when Yahuwah appeared unto him, and blessed him, and called his name Yasharal. And Rachel, the wife of Jacob, conceived in those days. And at that time, Jacob and all belonging to him journeyed from Bethel to go to his father's house in Hebron. And whilst they were going on the road, and there was yet but a little way to come to Ephrath, Rachel bare a son, and she had hard labor, and she died. And Jacob buried her in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. And he set a pillar upon her grave, which is there unto this day. And the days of Rachel were 45 years, and she died. And Jacob called the name of his son that was born to him with Rachel, which Rachel bare unto him, Benjamin. For he was born to him in the land on the right side. And it was after the death of Rachel that Jacob pitched his tent in the tent of her handmaid Bilhah. And Reuben was jealous for his mother Leah on account of this, and he was filled with anger. And he rose up in his anger and went into the tent of Bilhah, and he thence removed his father's bed. At that time, the portion of birthright, together with the kingly and priestly offices, was removed from the sons of Reuben, for he had profaned his father's bed. And the birthright was given unto Yusuf, or Joseph, the kingly office to Yehuda, in the priesthood unto Levi, because Reuben had defiled his father's bed. And these are the generations of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. The sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, the firstborn, and Simeon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, and their sister Dinah. And the sons of Rachel were Yusuf and Benjamin. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, were Gad and Asher. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, were Dan and Naphtali. And these are the sons of Jacob, which were born unto him and Padan Aram. And Jacob and his sons and all belonging to him journeyed and came to Mamre, which is Keret Arba, that is in Hebron, where Abraham and Yishak sojourned. And Jacob with his sons and all belonging to him dwelt with his father in Hebron. And his brother Esau and his sons and all belonging to him went to the land of Seir and dwelt there, and had possessions in the land of Seir. And the children of Esau were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly in the land of Seir. And these are the generations of Esau that were born to him in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Esau were 5. And Adah bare to Esau his firstborn, Eliphaz. And she also bare to him Reuel, and Alabama bare to him Yehush and Yalam and Korah. These are the children of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gadam, Kenaz, and Amaleks. And the sons of Reuel were Nahath, Zarak, Shema, and Mizah. And the sons of Yeush were Timnah, Alavah, Jetheth. And the sons of Yalam were Allah, Phanar, and Kenaz. And the sons of Korah were Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Aram. These are the families of the sons of Esau according to their dukedoms in the land of Seir. Now, as we're right here, family, I want to go ahead and point out a little something, because we have this Kenaz right here. And we can also see from this history lesson that we was just looking at, and just moments ago, back up when all the kings had came to fight against Jacob and his sons. And we saw the name of those kings. And some of those kings were of the Amorites. The kings of the Amorites. So there's a little something that should stick out to y'all. That these Amorites that were later become Ashkenaz, or dwell with Ashkenaz, and are, a part of those people. There's one of my brothers, we had a little side conversation the other day when we were talking about this same book. We were talking about these same chapters, and he was also one of the people that had reminded me about these Amorites. And we had seen in the scriptures before where the iniquity of the Amorites has not been yet fulfilled. That has to do with the 400-year prophecy. So these Amorites that were in the land of Canaan, so Canaanite, Amorite, Khazarian, Ashkenaz, and then we have right down here, the reason why I brought up that Ashkenaz is because not only is that a descendant of Japheth, but then down here with Esau, one of his children, Kenaz. Now, I still need to do my own little due diligence on the research and, looking into some of these names. So I'm not trying to make a solid, concrete boom. Okay, that it was this one that mixed with Ashkenaz, or this one. I don't know that yet, family. I'm just going to keep that all the way normal with you. But I'm seeing how some of these names are just kind of jumping off the page at us. You know what I'm saying? So before we got too far, I wanted to make sure that some of these names stick into your mind. So even in your own due diligence, in your own research, we don't let these names get past us like we used to when we used to come across Genesis and all the other books that speak about lineage. We kind of just quickly skip past the names, and we don't pay attention to where these nations or these tribes dwelled at, the name of their tribe or where their tribe dwelled at. And when we let those things get away from us, when it comes time to backtrack, well, who's who did what to who? Well, we done forgot because we let this kind of information right here just go right past us. You know what I'm saying? So I pray that if y'all can take a screenshot, if y'all want to take a screenshot when it comes, by all means, take a screenshot right about here. And I'll go ahead and pause just for a couple hot seconds, get a drink. And then start there. Should have gave y'all a little time to do your screenshot if you needed to do that. So when you get into some other lineages, you know about who's who and who did what to who, we have a better understanding. And this is also something that Minister Yacoba and I believe Minister Dante and even Thoughts Camera Action had helped explain to us, is that the dukedoms, the name of a duke is what started up from Esau. So these dukes of this, dukes of that, this all came from Esau. So shout out to those ministers and teachers that have definitely helped progress us all and to help us learn these things, you know. So definitely appreciate it. All right. So, and then these are the names of the sons of Seir, the Horite, inhabitants of the land of Seir: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Ezer, and Dashon, being 7 sons. The children of Lotan were Hori, Heman, or Haman, and their sister Timnah. And that is Timnah, who came to Jacob and his sons, and they would not give ear to her. And she went and became a concubine to Eliphaz, the son of Esau, and she bare to him Amalek. So we also see right here Amalek, and we see a little more of the tying in of Esau with the Horites. And shout out to Benaiah Israel for hooking us up with some more of the knowledge about some of these people that dwelled in the land of Seir and what the Horites were. And if I'm not mistaken, the Horites, you could equivalent them to cavemen. That what's that gene? That Neanderthal. That's what the Horites were, was Neanderthals, cave people. And so we got all these different little connections here and there. And it's just good when these scriptures jump out and remind us who's who. And the sons of Shobal were Alvin, Menahath, Ebal, Sepho, or Shepho, and Onam. And the sons of Zibeon were Ajah and Anah. This was that Anah who found the Yemen or Yemim in the wilderness when he fed the asses of Zebeon, his father. And whilst he was feeding his father's asses, he led them to the wilderness at different times to feed them. And there was a day that he brought them to one of the deserts of the seashore, opposite to the wilderness of the people. And whilst he was feeding them, behold, a very heavy storm came from the other side of the sea and rested upon the asses where they were feeding there. And they all stood still. And afterward, about 120 great and terrible animals came out from the wilderness at the other side of the sea. And they all came to the place where the asses were, and they placed themselves there. And those animals, from their middle downward, were the shape of the children of men. And from their middle upward, some had the likeness of bears, and some the likeness of kephas, with tails behind them from between their shoulders, reaching down to the earth, like the tail of the dushipha. And these animals came and mounted and rode upon the asses and led them away, and they went away unto this day. And one of these animals approached Anah and smote him with his tail, and then fled from that place. And when he saw this work, he was exceedingly afraid of his life, and he fled and escaped to the city. So once again, more and more stuff jumps off the page. Now, family, go ahead and chime in about what we were talking about the other night when we was doing our own little private talking. And I'm not for certain if I got a chance. I don't think I got a chance to grab those screenshots, but yeah, we had some things kind of jump off the page at us when we were doing this little private reading on our own a couple weeks ago. When some of these names that is He-Man. All right, this right
Okay.
here.
Right. I was about to say that He-Man jumped off the page with us, and Sister Rita did a good research. She didn't have to go far, but the fact that He-Man and then He-Man is connected directly to the Horites, like
No.
this was a superhero type thing.
Fuck.
Sis, Sarita. I'll just mute her mic for a hot second, maybe.
Yeah, but she had did a real good research on that He-Man. I think she was the one who brought up that He-Man part.
Mm-hmm.
But the big connection here is could you scroll up real quick, Ross? That it shows that He-Man.
Oh, you talking about the He-Man back up here?
Yeah, it shows that he came straight from the Horite woman, right? The
Yep.
sons. It says these are the names of the sons of Seir, the Horite, the inhabitants of the land of Seir. Lotan. Okay, so Lotan is He-Man daddy, right?
Yeah, Lotan. Yeah, the children of Lotan were Hori, He-Man, and their sister Timnah.
And it's crazy that they made a cartoon out of that. And they said the Horrocks came from the fallen, from the net. I can't never say that word, right, man. Forgive me on that. The Neanderthal bloodline, right? And they made a cartoon out of some dude flying around, and you know what I mean, like. But I wish Sis would get back on here because she did a real good. I remember when we was going through this, she was pulling up stuff about the sister and everything that he had. They took this and made a cartoon clean out of it.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, since a second ago, Miss B, she just typed up in the chat Kifa. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the search right quick since we're right there. All right. Let's see here. All right, let's go back here. Remove this. Oh, wrong one. All right. Key files. Let's bring this back in. All right,
Oh
so
wait.
yeah. So key files right here. So you even have an engravement or an inscription right here showing what a kifa is. Now it's in the scripture. It said from the waist down they had the shape or of the children of men. So they had human lower half, and then the upper half was that of a kifa. And you can see. Let's go ahead and see if we can zoom in on this a little bit more. Y'all seeing that pretty good there, family?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it and read it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to make sure everybody out there is seeing what the scriptures was telling us about what a kephi is. Since Ms. B asked the question and was like, well, what is that? Well, this is what they say or what's been said about them. And so,
And it's crazy how you could just take from the book of Jasher and just the reading of the word, the book of Jasher, the Bible, like just that long genealogy that they want us to skip over. You could just type some of these names in Google and stuff will pop up. It's not even hard to research it. You
let's
know what I
see
mean?
another thing. This page right here don't really. Now, this page right here of Myth in the Bible, part 10 here. Yeah, this is that other page that I think we came across in our own, yeah. Or no, let's see, I don't want that. I don't need to subscribe. Right here. Y'all seeing that there, family? Of Myth in the Bible, part 10, Lion Men of Moab, or a kephi. So, matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and copy that.
Kephis didn't I think it was either Dante or Teo had a study on Kephis. Or
Yeah, I must have missed that one, but I definitely like to go back to see that. I definitely would. Let me go ahead and grab this right here, link 2. I'm gonna put both these links in the chat. And that way y'all can pull those up. No problem. No problem. And I definitely gotta thank I had Dante in my head when I did that. Like, you know what? Dante be doing the same good thing. He be throwing them links in the chat. Like, good looking out, bro. Appreciate you, family. Yeah. Just
right.
appreciate you, family. That's the best I can come off with right about now.
And I'll be using them too.
Oh yeah.
I'll be right on them.
So I don't want to get too far outside of what we're doing, but once again, it's very important that we take time every now and again to go ahead and do that. When certain stuff like that just pops up off the page at us, and it kind of just showing itself. We'll be sitting there like, oh, really? What is that? So let's go ahead and take a look at it.
You forgot to mention that Alabama part that we had came to.
Yeah, that
I think
man,
they
like,
mentioned it in the chat. I think it was Sean
Yeah.
that mentioned it in the chat. Yeah, we stayed on that. That blew us up right there when on the private conversation at Alabama. I think it's somewhere at the top.
yeah. We this is the second time we came across that name, Alabama. Back up
Now I
here,
missed the whole
right here.
thing when y'all were talking about He-Man because my phone just decided it was not wanting to work properly. Um, so what did y'all cover on that?
Not a whole lot. The only thing we got to was talking about. We brought it up how we were talking about it amongst ourselves. Once the name He-Man came up, or Haman, is how it's even in the 1611 it comes up as Haman, so it has a Y in
Okay.
there. But on this translation right here, it just has He-Man. And then,
Okay.
as a matter of fact, there was another transliteration or whatever that just had He-Man. It didn't have Haman on
Okay. Okay.
it. and then we were getting into the part where you had done some quick little looking up about when we got to the Kephas part.
Okay.
You know, and what was that? And we was just doing it on our own little private, you know, just talking, just messing around, and then all of a
Did you?
sudden, as a matter of fact, no, I did not. Are you talking about?
Yeah. See, because they were in He-Man.
All right, so I guess real quick. Oh,
Yeah, we when I did that, just quick overview because I thought by just looking at the name, it looked like He-Man to me.
Right.
And like the brothers do, they question me for a second. They like for a minute they'll be like, and then they'll be like, hold on a minute.
Right. I remember when
They definitely
you start coming up with it on Google, and we was just blown away. Like, yo, that was crazy. And I mean, like I was saying though, you just type some of these words in from these lineages, and it'll show you the pictures. It'll show you where it came from, and then like these are parts like the long lineage. Who we got? Who we got? This one we got that one. We kind of skip over that. You know what I'm saying? We skip over that. They tell us to skip over that. You know, in the church, but we need to know who these people are.
all right. Let's see here, real quick. Now, a couple things that jumped out at us a little bit when describing. Daggone. See, I'm trying to blow this right here on up. This ape-looking dude right here.
and even the I guess that queen, she had a bunch of uh symbols, satanic symbols all over her clothes. And just y'all, we used to watch this as kids. I don't know what the age range is with the people in the chat, but me and Roz are pretty much the same age and had younger siblings. So this is something, you know, we grew up with. Um if you didn't, if you weren't grown up in that age, you had a child in that age, and we were all running around screaming by the power of Grayskull and all this other kind of stuff. It was just entertainment to us. But now with these new eyes during this awakening, you go back and you can see the satanic nature of the things that we were watching when we were children.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I clicked one too many daggone X's right there. And I'm trying to I was trying to blow up that one picture and it wasn't doing it. It wasn't letting me blow up just the one picture. But yeah, definitely. When I came back in, you were talking about some of the different satanic imagery and messages that we were growing up with just this show alone that we didn't realize.
Right. I guess they made a hero out of He-Man the Horite. They just ain't put it, you know what I mean, in correct context to let us know he was a Horite, you know what I mean?
And family, just so you know, when we just did like a little quick search on the word He-Man that we found in the Bible or in Jasher, and then we just did that little quick search and just came up with a whole bunch of different information. And if you remember, um He-Man in the story had a sister. Her name was She-Ra. And He-Man in Jasher also has a sister. He could have had any kind of sibling. He could have had two sisters. He could have had a brother, but no, he also has a sister. And in the same time, they're talking about these animals that are mixed with humans and this, that, and the third, and you'll find these
Right.
same things
Right.
in He-Man.
Right.
So and we know that, during our awakening, we can see how they try to tell us bits and pieces of stories without telling us the whole truth. So, and this was just another example of them giving us those bits and pieces. It's also another example of how they don't have original thought. They keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's where that kind of that saying, if you don't know your past, your history, you're destined to repeat yourself. And we have to get out of that mode of repeating ourselves, going against the Most High,
Right.
falling in the same traps over and over again. I'm gonna say this one last thing and I'm gonna be quiet. But even like with these reparations, they're talking about that now. They're saying, oh, here's Illinois, here's $25,000, but there's stipulations for you to have this $25,000 reparations. You have to find a house, you have to first qualify, and then you have to move. So you're going to give me $25,000 to get a house. What kind of house do you buy with $25,000?
That's only a down payment. That's only a down payment on even
that's
a
a
decent
trap
house.
house. That's a trap house. I know.
So you want me to move out of my neighborhood that I've lived in all my life. We've built up this community, and you want us to move somewhere else where we can build it up so that you can go and gentrify the neighborhood we just moved out of. No, thank you. We see you.
Oh,
That
yeah.
gentrification is real. That gentrification is real, man.
It sure is. But definitely right quick. Then there's also the symbolism with this He-Man with that red cross on his chest. We were talking about that. And then as I was looking a second ago, this same page has the Thundercats on here. So this right here would be a more accurate,
Chifa.
of a Kepha, or the Lion Men of Moab. So all these little hints and clues that were given to us, when we was coming up, but we never really, put two and two together. We didn't know. We just didn't know.
Right.
But yeah.
I hope while reading, y'all don't mess up Power Rangers for me now.
So don't mess with your Power Rangers now.
You were from that generation. Oh boy, right. I couldn't stand the Rangers. All that moving, all of them had ADHD.
All right, let's see here. Yeah. All right, so we done got off track a little bit, but not really, but just a little. All right, so these are the families of the children of Seir, the Horite, according to their dukedoms in the land of Seir. And Esau and his children dwelt in the land of Seir, the Horite, the inhabitants of the land, and they had possessions in it, and were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob and his children, and all belonging to them, dwelt with their father Yishak in the land of Canaan, as Yahuwah had commanded Abraham, their father. So, and in the 105th year of the life of Jacob, that is the 9th year of Jacob's dwelling with his children in the land of Canaan, he came from Padan Aram. And in those days, Jacob journeyed with all his children from Hebron, and they went and returned to the city of Shechem, and all belonging to them, and they dwelt there. For the children of Jacob obtained good and fat pasture land for their cattle in the city of Shechem, and the city of Shechem having then been rebuilt, and they were in it about 300 men and women. And Jacob and his children, all belonging to him, dwelt in the part of the field which Jacob had bought from Hamor, the father of Shechem, when he had came from Padan Aram. before Simeon and Levi had smitten the city. And all those kings of the Canaanites and Amorites that surrounded the city of Shechem heard that the sons of Jacob had again come to Shechem and dwelt there. And they said, shall the sons of Jacob the Hebrew again come to the city and dwell therein after they have smitten its inhabitants and driven them out? Shall they now return also and drive out those who are dwelling in the city, or slay them? And all the kings of Canaan again assembled, and they came together to make war with Jacob and his sons. And Yashub, king of Tapnach, sent also his neighboring king to all his neighboring kings, to Elon, king of Gaash, and to Ehuri, king of Shiloh, and Parathon, king of Khazar, and Susi, king of Sarton, and Laban, king of Beth Haran, and to Shabar, king of Othnemah, saying, come up to me and assist me, and let us smite Jacob, the Hebrew, and his sons, and all belonging to him, for they are again come to Shechem to possess it, and to slay its inhabitants as before. And all these kings assembled together, and came with all their camps, a people exceedingly plentiful, like the sand upon the seashore, and they were all opposite to Tapnach. And Yashub, king of Tapnach, went forth to them with all his army, and he encamped with them opposite to Tapnach, without the city. And all these kings they divided into 7 divisions, being 7 camps against the sons of Jacob. And they sent a declaration to Jacob and his sons, saying, come, you all forth to us, that we may have an interview together in the plain, and revenge the cause of the men of Shechem, whom you slew in their city. And you will now again return to the city of Shechem, and dwell therein, and slay its inhabitants as before. And the sons of Jacob heard this, and their anger was kindled exceedingly at the words of the kings of Canaan. And 10 of the sons of Jacob hastened and rose up, and each of them girt on his weapons of war. And there were 102 of their servants with them, equipped in battle array. And all these men, the sons of Jacob, with their servants, went toward these kings. And Jacob, their father, was with them. And they all stood upon the heap of Shechem. And Jacob prayed to Yahuwah for his sons. And he spread forth his hands to Yahuwah, and said, O Elohim, thou art an almighty Elohim. Thou art our Father. Thou didst form us, and we are the works of thine hands. I pray thee, deliver my sons through thy mercy from the hand of their enemies, who are this day coming to fight with them, and save them from their hand. For in thy hand is power and might to save the few from the many. And give unto my sons, thy servants, strength of heart and might to fight with their enemies, and to subdue them, and make their enemies fall before them. And let not my sons and their servants die through the hands of the children of Canaan. But if it seemeth good in thine eyes to take away the lives of my sons and their servants, take them in thy great mercy through the hands of thy ministers, that they may not perish this day by the hands of the kings of the Amorites. And when Jacob ceased praying to Yahuwah, the earth shook from its place, and the sun darkened, and all these kings were terrified, and a great consternation seized them. And Yahuwah hearkened to the prayer of Jacob, and Yahuwah impressed the hearts of all the kings and their hosts with the terror and awe of the sons of Jacob. For Yahuwah caused them to hear the voice of chariots, and the voice of mighty horses from the sons of Jacob, and the voice of a great army accompanying them. And these kings were seized with great terror at the sons of Jacob. And whilst they were standing in their quarters, behold, the sons of Jacob advanced upon them with 112 men, with a great and tremendous shouting. And when the king saw the sons of Jacob advancing toward them, they were still more panic struck, and they were inclined to retreat from before the sons of Jacob at first, and not to fight with them. But they did not retreat, saying, it would be a disgrace to us thus twice to retreat from before the Hebrews. And the sons of Jacob came near and advanced against all these kings and their armies. And they saw, and behold, it was a very mighty people, numerous as the sands of the sea. And the sons of Jacob called unto Yahuwah and said, help us, O Yahuwah. Help us and answer us, for we trust in thee. And let us not die by the hands of these uncircumcised men, who this day have come against us. And the sons of Jacob girded on their weapons of war, and they took in their hands each man his shield and his javelin, and they approached to battle. And Yehuda, the son of Jacob, ran first before his brethren, and 10 of his servants with him, and he went toward these kings. And Yashub, the king of Tapnach, also came forth first with his army before Yehuda. And Yehuda saw Yashub and his army coming toward him. And Yehuda's wrath was kindled, and his anger burned within him. And he approached to battle, on which Yehuda ventured his life. And Yashub and all his army were advancing toward Yehuda. And he was riding upon a very strong and powerful horse. And Yashub was a very valiant man, and covered with iron and brass from head to foot. And whilst he was upon the horse, he shot arrows with both hands from before and behind, as was his manner in all his battles. And he never missed the place in which he had aimed his arrows. And when Yashub came to fight with Yehuda, and was darting many arrows towards Yehuda, many arrows against Yehuda. Sorry about that, family. Yahuwah bound the hand of Yashub, and all the arrows that he shot rebounded upon his own men. And notwithstanding this, Yashub kept advancing towards Yehuda to challenge him with the arrows, but the distance between them was about 30 cubits. And when Yehuda saw Yashub darting forth his arrows against him, he ran to him with his wrath excited might. And Yehuda took up a large stone from the ground, and its weight was 60 shekels. And Yehuda ran toward Yashub, and with the stone struck him on his shield, that Yashub was stunned with the blow, and fell off from his horse to the ground. And the kings that came with Yashub saw at a distance the strength of Yehuda, the son of Jacob. And when he had done to Yashub, they were terribly afraid of Yehuda. And they assembled near Yashub's camp, seeing his confusion. And Yehuda drew his sword and smote 42 men of the camp of Yashub. And when the whole of Yashub's camp fled before Yehuda, and no man stood against him, they left Yashub and fled from him. And Yashub was still prostrate upon the ground. And Yashub, seeing that all the men of his camp had fled from him, hastened and rose up with terror against Yehuda, and stood upon his legs opposite Yehuda. And Yashub had a single combat with Yehuda, placing shield toward shield, and Yashub's men all fled, for they were greatly afraid of Yehuda. And Yashub took his spear in his hand to strike Yehuda upon his head. But Yehuda had quickly placed his shield to his head against Yashub's spear, so that the shield of Yehuda received the blow from Yashub's spear, and the shield was split in two. And when Yehuda saw that his shield was split, he hastily drew his sword and smote Yashub at his ankles, and cut off his feet, that Yashub fell upon the ground, and the spear fell from his hand. And Yehuda hastily picked up Yashub's spear, with which he severed his head and cast it next to his feet. And when the sons of Jacob saw that what Yehuda had done to Yashub, they all ran into the ranks of the other kings, and the sons of Jacob fought with the army of Yashub, and the armies of all the kings that were there. And the sons of Jacob caused 15,000 of their men to fall. and they smote them as if smiting at gourds, and the rest fled for their lives. And Yehuda was still standing by the body of Yashub, and stripped Yashub of his coat of mail. And Yehuda also took off the iron and brass that was about Yashub. And behold, 9 men of the captains of Yashub came along to fight against Yehuda. And Yehuda hastened and took up a stone from the ground, and with it smote one of them upon the head, and his skull was fractured. And the body also fell from the horse to the ground. And the 8 captains that remained, seeing the strength of Yehuda, were greatly afraid, and they fled. And Yehuda with his 10 men pursued them, and they overtook them and slew them. And the sons of Jacob were still smiting the armies of the kings, and they slew many of them. But those kings daringly kept their stand with their captains, and did not retreat from their places. And they exclaimed against those of their armies, and fled from before the sons of Jacob. But none would listen to them, for they were afraid of their lives, lest they should die. And the sons of Jacob, after having smitten the armies of the kings, returned and came before Yehuda. And Yehuda was still slaying the 8 captains of Yashub, and stripping off their garments. And Levi saw Elon, king of Gaash, advancing towards him with his 14 captains to smite him. But Levi did not know it for certain. And Elon, with his captains, approaching nearer, and Levi looked back and saw that the battle was given him in the rear. And Levi ran with 12 of his servants, and they went and slew Elon and his captains with the edge of the sword. And Ehuri, king of Shiloh, came up to assist Elon, and he approached Jacob when Jacob drew his bow that was in his hand, and with an arrow struck Ehuri, which caused his death. And when Ehuri, king of Shiloh, was dead, the 4 remaining kings fled from their station with the rest of the captains. And they endeavored to retreat, saying, "We have no more strength with the Hebrews, after their having killed the 3 kings and their captains who were more powerful than we are." And when the sons of Jacob saw that the remaining kings had removed from their station, they pursued them. And Jacob also came from the heap of Shechem, from the place where he was standing. And they went after the kings, and they approached them with their servants. And the kings of the captains with the rest of their armies, seeing that the sons of Jacob approached them, were afraid of their lives, and fled till they reached the city of Khazar. And the sons of Jacob pursued them to the gate of the city of Khazar. And they smote a great smiting amongst the kings and their armies, about 4,000 men. And whilst they were smiting the army of the kings, Jacob was occupied with his bow, confining himself to smiting the kings. And he slew them all. And he slew Patharon, king of Khazar, at the gate of the city of Khazar. And he afterwards smote Susi, king of Sartan, and Laban, king of Beth-Harim, and Shabir, king of Machnamah. And he slew them all with arrows, an arrow to each of them, and they died. And the sons of Jacob, seeing that all the kings were dead and they were broken up and retreating, continued to carry on the battle with the armies of the kings opposite the gate of Khazar. And they still smote about 400 of their men. And 3 men of the servants of Jacob fell in the battle. And when Yehuda saw that 3 of his servants had died, it grieved him greatly, and his anger burned within him against the Amorites. And when all the men that remained of the armies of the kings were greatly afraid of their lives, and they ran and broke the gate of the walls of the city of Khazar, and they all entered the city for safety. And they concealed themselves in the midst of the city of Khazar, for the city of Khazar was very large and extensive. And when all these armies had entered the city, the sons of Jacob ran after them to the city. And 4 mighty men, experienced in battle, went forth from the city and stood against the entrance of the city with drawn swords and spears in their hands. And they placed themselves opposite the sons of Jacob and would not suffer them to enter into the city. And Naphtali ran and came between them with his sword and smote 2 of them and cut off their heads at one stroke. And he turned to the other 2, and behold, they had fled. And he pursued them, overtook them, smote them, and slew them. And the sons of Jacob came to the city and saw, and behold, there was another wall to the city. And they sought for the gate of the wall and could not find it. And Yehudah sprang upon the top of the wall, and Simeon and Levi followed him. And they all 3 descended from the wall into the city. And Simeon and Levi slew all the men who ran for safety in the city, or into the city, and also the inhabitants of the city with their wives and little ones. They slew with the edge of the sword, and the cries of the city ascended up to heaven. And Dan and Naphtali sprang upon the wall to see what caused the noise of lamentation, for the sons of Jacob felt anxious about their brothers. And they heard the inhabitants of the city speaking with weeping and supplications, saying, "Take all that we possess in the city and go away, only do not put us to death." And when Yehudah, Simeon, and Levi had ceased smiting the inhabitants of the city, they ascended the wall and called to Dan and Naphtali, who were upon the wall, and the rest of their brothers. And Simeon and Levi informed them of the entrance into the city. And all the sons of Jacob came to fetch the spoil. And the sons of Jacob took the spoil of the city of Khazar, and the flocks and herds and the property, and they took all that could be captured, and went away that day from the city. And on the next day, the sons of Jacob went to Sarton, for they heard that the men of Sarton who had remained in the city were assembling to fight with them for having slain their king. And Sarton was a very high and fortified city, and it had a deep rampart surrounding the city. And the pillar of the rampart was about 50 cubits, and its breadth 40 cubits. And there was no place for a man to enter the city on account of the rampart. And the sons of Jacob saw the rampart of the city, and they sought an entrance in it, but could not find it. For the entrance of the city was at the rear, and every man that wished to come into the city came by the road and went around the whole city, and he afterwards entered the city. And the sons of Jacob, seeing that they could not find the way into the city, their anger was kindled greatly. And the inhabitants of the city, seeing that the sons of Jacob were coming to them, were greatly afraid of them, for they had heard of their strength and what they had done to Khazar. And the inhabitants of the city of Sarton could not go out toward the sons of Jacob after having assembled in the city to fight against them, lest they might thereby get into the city. But when they saw that they were coming toward them, they were greatly afraid of them, for they had heard of their strength and what they had done to Khazar. So the inhabitants of Sarton speedily took away the bridge of the road of the city from its place before the sons of Jacob came, and they brought it into the city. And the sons of Jacob came and sought the way into the city and could not find it. And the inhabitants of the city went up to the top of the wall and saw, and behold, the sons of Jacob were seeking an entrance into the city. Excuse me. And the inhabitants of the city reproached the sons of Jacob from the top of the wall, and they cursed them. And the sons of Jacob heard the reproaches, and they were greatly incensed, and their anger burned within them. And the sons of Jacob were provoked at them, and they all rose and sprang over the rampart with the force of their strength, and through their might passed the 40 cubits breadth of the rampart. And when they had passed the rampart, they stood under the wall of the city, and they found all the gates of the city enclosed with iron doors. And the sons of Jacob came near to break open the doors of the gates of the city, and the inhabitants did not let them. For from the top of the wall they were casting stones and arrows upon them. And the number of the people that were upon the wall was about 400 men. And when the sons of Jacob saw that the men of the city would not let them open the gates of the city, they sprang and ascended the top of the wall. And Yehuda went up first to the east part of the city, and Gad and Asher went up after him to the west corner of the city, and Simeon and Levi to the north, and Dan and Reuben to the south. And the men who were on the top of the wall, the inhabitants of the city, seeing that the sons of Jacob were coming up to them, they all fled from the wall, descended into the city, and concealed themselves in the midst of the city. And Issachar and Naphtali that remained under the wall approached and broke the gates of the city and kindled a fire at the gates of the city. And the iron melted, and all the sons of Jacob came into the city, they and all their men. And they fought with the inhabitants of the city of Sartan, and they smote them with the edge of the sword, and no man stood up before them. And about 200 men fled from the city, and they all went and hid themselves in a certain tower in the city. And Yehuda pursued them to the tower, and he broke down the tower, which fell upon the men, and they all died. And the sons of Jacob went up the road of the roof of the tower, and they saw, and behold, there was another strong and high tower at a distance in the city, and the top of it reached to heaven. And the sons of Jacob hastened and descended and went with all their men to that tower, and found it filled with about 300 men, women, and little ones. And the sons of Jacob smote a great smiting amongst those men in the tower, and they ran away and fled from them. And Simeon and Levi pursued them. When 12 mighty and valiant men, came out to them from the place where they had concealed themselves, and those 12 men maintained a strong battle against Simeon and Levi. And Simeon and Levi could not prevail over them. And those valiant men broke the shields of Simeon and Levi. And one of them struck at Levi's head with his sword, and Levi hastily placed his hand to his head, for he was afraid of the sword. And the sword struck Levi's hand, and it wanted but little to the hand of Levi being cut off. So he must have kind of went in a little bit, but it was a dull blade, so it kind of barely, cut him open. But I guarantee it still hurt. So that's basically what I'm getting from this right here. He was afraid of the sword, and the sword struck Levi's hand, and it wanted but little to the hand of Levi being cut off. And Levi seized the sword of the valiant man in his hand and took it forcibly from the man. And with it, he struck at the head of the powerful man and severed his head. So Levi was so bad with it that when the dude swung at his head, he caught it in his hand, and it hurt him a little bit, but he grabbed the sword, even though it was struck in his hand, and he snatched the sword out of the dude's hand, holding the blade in his hand. Not only did he take it from him, but he swung it back at him and cut his own head off, or cut the dude's head off with his own sword after taking it from him. Man. And 11 men approached to fight with Levi, for they saw that one of them was killed. And the sons of Jacob fought, but the sons of Jacob could not prevail over them, for those men were very powerful. And the sons of Jacob, seeing that they could not prevail over them, Simeon gave a loud and tremendous shriek, and the 11 powerful men were stunned at the voice of Simeon shrieking. And Yehuda at a distance knew the voice of Simeon shouting. And Naphtali and Yehuda ran with their shields to Simeon and Levi, and found them fighting with those powerful men, unable to prevail over them as their shields were broken. And Naphtali saw that the shields of Simeon and Levi were broken, and he took 2 shields from his servants and brought them to Simeon and Levi. And Simeon, Levi, and Yehuda on that day fought all 3 all three, against the 11 mighty men until the time of sunset, but they could not prevail over them. And this was told unto Jacob, and he was sorely grieved, and he prayed unto Yahuwah, and Naphtali his son went against these mighty men. And Jacob approached and drew his bow, and came nigh unto the mighty men, and slew 3 of their men with the bow. And the remaining 8 turned back, and behold, the war waged against them in the front and the rear. And they were greatly afraid of their lives, and could not stand before the sons of Jacob, and they fled before them. And in their fight with Dan, when in their fight or in their flight, they met Dan and Asher coming toward them, and they suddenly fell upon them and fought with them, and slew 2 of them. And Yehuda and his brothers pursued them, and smote the remaining of them, and slew them. And all the sons of Jacob returned and walked about the city, searching if they could find any men. And they found about 20 young men in a cave in the city. And Gad and Asher smote them all. And Dan and Naphtali lighted upon the rest of the men who had fled and escaped from the second tower, and they smote them all. And the sons of Jacob smote all the inhabitants of the city of Sartan, but the women and little ones they left in the city and did not slay them. And all the inhabitants of the city of Sartan were powerful men. One of them would pursue 1,000, and 2 of them would not flee from 10,000 of the rest of men. And the sons of Jacob slew all the inhabitants of Sartan with the edge of the sword, that no man stood up against them, and they left the women in the city. So Sartan was these people was kind of bold about it, saying that the men were so powerful that one of them would run after 1,000 men, and 2 of them would not flee from 10,000. That's how Brody these people was. But everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, like I said earlier. So they thought they had a plan, coming messing with the sons of Jacob, coming messing with the Hebrews, coming messing with the children of Yah. They had a plan until they got punched in the mouth. And it all went sour for them, because they should have just minded their own business and left them people alone. Left us alone. Simple as that. And the sons of Jacob took all the spoil of the city and captured what they desired. And they took flocks and herds and property from the city. And the sons of Jacob did unto Sartan and its inhabitants as they had done to Khazar and its inhabitants. And they turned and went away. So I guess before we go too much further, family, right here, I guess we can stop and talk for a hot little second about this Khazar. Over and over and over again, we've been seeing this Khazar come up. And now we can see this long-held grudge of the surviving Khazarians and where their motivation for their get back has always been. You can see it right here scripturally. Where they got their whole motivation from, and why we have been enemies to the Khazarians for so long. Go ahead, family.
They ain't ready, Ross. If we can get just a fraction of that strength to combat our enemies, they ain't ready. They are not ready. And I know a lot of us, even myself, when I first came into my awakening, my first thing was, when I started out, my awakening story started with, protesting. And then I came to find out that No matter what we did, there was nothing we could do about what was going on in this world. And it was then I knew without a doubt that there has to be a God. There is no way that we can conquer by ourselves the iniquity that is in this world. Once you start thinking about one bad thing that they've been up to, you start falling down that rabbit hole, and you just realize as black people, as Israelites, we don't have nothing. We don't have nothing. Even the black country, Africa, they don't have any weapons of mass destruction. I mean, they got some little bootleg, machine guns and whatnot, but they're not even close to Iraq or China. We don't have a chance. If there is no most high, then boy. And we think about, the training. Oh, well, we're not military. We ain't done nothing. I was asking Ross not too long ago. I said, what happens if you put, as much as black people love to dance, if you played some, I don't know, right foot, left foot song, one of them songs there, and put us in a military uniform and a gun, what do we look like? We look like an army, an
Mhm.
army on the move. Can you imagine that? We've all been training in our own little ways. We all have different things that contribute to the nation. Whatever little gift it is. Don't be discouraged. The most high is using us every single day.
Show is. Show is. I'm just laughing at what they was just talking about in the chat. Like, yeah, this is a safe place. Like, I don't even gotta type it. Yeah, it's a safe place. You ain't gotta have no perfect English up in here. Shoot. Like, some of us are just we just trying to get a little bit of vernacular on us just to even pronounce some of these daggone words, let alone trying to say everything right.
Ain't that it?
Yeah.
I didn't even see what was in the chat.
There's Brother Harbio right there. He dropped out for a second. I definitely want to
Man,
give you
look, I was trying to
opportunity to
talk.
speak on this right here. Like this Kazar. This Kazar.
Yeah,
Keep
man.
seeing that over and over. And I went right to come back to the page right quick to check on you. Both of you
Man,
really. And then you
no,
dropped out.
man. I tried to charge the computer and the whole computer went off. I had to log back in and everything. When I say the warfare is so real, bro, like Sister Sharita, I feel you.
Like the same thing just happened to me. I'm telling you.
Right. The
So
warfare
is.
is so real, man. But look, and then I'm usually on my phone, so I usually can't do nothing, man. Rouse, the whole time you was reading, and I was taking notes. I got my tablet out, my phone out, so I got a whole lot. I got a
Peace and
whole lot
blessings,
written
Brother Larry
down.
Carnell Bryce. Peace and blessings. Thanks for showing up and tuning in tonight, family.
Yeah,
Go ahead, though, bro.
but what I got from all this is, I'm gonna start off with that. Really much this is kind of what the Most High could do for us. You know what I mean? Like if we all get on the right accord and come back to Him. You know what I mean? And come back to His ways and His order. I mean, like I was watching the chat and the comments and stuff like that, and I was getting the same thing that like this is just like 100 men, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the big part that I kind of came at, is pray. Judah means praise. You know, Judah means praise, and praise goes out first. You know what I'm saying? The praise goes out first, and Judah went out first, and in a way, it's like I'm just kind of like taking notes and going because I got a whole lot here. I ain't gonna try. I'm not gonna be too long. I'm gonna try to be brief with it. But Judah went out there and pretty much just, started it off bold as a lion. You know what I mean? And when we sit there and think about, us being scattered all around, the 10 tribes and the 12 tribes, and when we sit there and think about the missing part of Judah being scattered all over the world through slavery, this is the missing piece. That's what's going on in Africa, if I want to put it that way. You know what I mean? We are that missing piece that's been going on. You know, Africa been trying to fight, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do this, trying to do that. But it seems like that Ezekiel dry bones coming together part, like it won't nothing happen until that dry bone part coming together. You know what I mean? To that dry bone, to Judah return, and the whole thing comes together. And I just see this happening, how the Most High is fighting for them. And it's so beautiful because it's obvious that these boys is not doing this. There's something divine going on here. You know, the Most High, you know, just like how that first king said, surely you're not fighting them. You go to war when you're going to war. You're going to war with their Elohim. You know what I mean? And that all just comes. I'm seeing Ezekiel, and I'm seeing how all of them really just the togetherness of Israel really plays a part on how the Most High moves for them. You see what I'm saying? They all had one accord, and they all was in order and all in line, and the Most High just moved for them. And and then there's one interesting part I found out about the while you were reading, because when you started saying Rampart is a street in New Orleans. You know, I mean, and it's probably a street. There's probably got a Rampart Street and everywhere in Louisiana. But it stuck out when you said it. So, and like I said, I'm not on my phone today, so I actually have my phone free to look up what certain stuff mean. So I looked up Rampart, and Rampart is a big street in New Orleans, and it is a defensive wall of a defensive wall of a castle or a walled city having a broad top or a walkway or a parfait stone, a stone parfait. I can't, y'all know my accent bad. But when I looked that up, the ramparts in New Orleans, because New Orleans has a place called Jackson Square. It's a famous place where they sold the slaves at, where the slaves landed at. And these ramparts were the slave blocks. I mean, I don't know about if you want me to send that to you or something, but
well, I'm actually right here.
You see what it looked like? It looked like the wall of China, like.
Yeah, I googled up a little something on the side over here, Rampart, because I know I end up using the same thing. Well, not this exact same thing. I was back when we was looking at the whole at the Mark of the Beast and all that, you know, months and months ago, and I posted some things on Hebrew Sphere about some of the technology that they're using. Not only that, but I went into the New Testament, went into the Strong's Concordance, and looked up, you know, the mark.
Right.
You know, the name itself is from the Latin word or Greek word charagma.
Right.
And the root word of charagma is sharax. And sharax is a rampart, which is a spike or a spiked fencing, and it's got, you know, some earth mounding, build up, you know, things like that. So a rampart is, you know, there's like two different ways to look at a rampart. A rampart, in one sense, is like a gap that separates the wall from the water. Right. And then there's also the of what a rampart is the actual spiked walls.
Right.
Kind of like spiked fences, you know what I'm saying? Like they took the logs and all that stuff and would shave spikes into them.
Right.
And things like that. That's a rampart.
Mm-hmm.
Rampart is also used in the Pledge of Allegiance, isn't it?
Yeah. So the rampart in the Pledge of Allegiance they was talking about would be like a moat, or like that little gap between the water and the wall of the castle or the fort. It's kind of like
right. And Brother Ross, look up, because I'm not too tech savvy, but look up Jackson Square in New Orleans, because this is what got me when I looked up Rampart. And you know, these ramparts, some of them have chains at the top, but those same ramparts, because I mean, this is, you know, kind of like how certain states have certain little street names that you can kind of see in every city or little town that you go to, right? Rampart is one of those streets that kind of If you really look at Louisiana, every city has a Rampart Street. And I find it
This is
funny.
looking like Disney.
Right, exactly. That's a castle.
Oh,
You
my
remember
goodness. Hold
when I
up.
read?
Hold up.
And that's exactly where the boats docked off at. Is right directly across the street is the mouth of the Mississippi, is the Mississippi River. And that's where that old picture of those slaves, that famous old picture where they was taking the baby away from her, from the slave. That's where that famous old picture is taken. Like that I think we saw it today in a
like right here. Look, like just like any of these right here. This whole everything. This one here will be a rampart.
Right, exactly.
Like that moat or that lake right there. That could be a rampart, or this little gappage between from here to here. That could be a rampart. But like, yeah, that whole castle, everything that looks like the beginning of every daggone Disney movie.
Right, and see that block in the front where you showed that rampart with that water kind of in the front,
like here.
That's where they had those slaves lined up. Not here, but where you first showed the rampart at. Like, there's a picture, man. I wish I knew how to use that share thing, man.
It definitely looks like Disney. You said that's where at?
It's in New Orleans.
That's wow, that really does look like Disney. Miss B, she said, I don't understand how they could worship other gods when they have the Most High on their side. And I don't know how they did it then. I guess I can understand. But sin is so tempting. I mean, sin is where we all have found ourselves. It's fun, at least we think it is until we have that consequence, whether it's having premarital sex and you end up with an STD or a kid, or you find yourself locked up because you're doing drugs or hanging around with the wrong person. But in the moment, it was really fun. And some of us have never really gotten in trouble for the sins that we've committed. We've kind of skated a lot of our life without getting into trouble. So it's easy to continue to sin because there's no real consequences. At least we don't think there is.
Yeah, until it's too late. And it's good that you say that, about them consequences that we don't think about until it's too late. And the reason why I say that is because the 400-year prophecy that was told to us, I think we've spoken on this before, or, at another time, or it's been said before, but there's a reason why that 400-year prophecy was given. And it's,
right.
This is going to tie right back into when we come back into Jubilees after this, right after the book of Jasher, and when we go into that this conversation is going to come right back again. It's going to come right back again, because the 400-year prophecy of captivity is to make sure that after 400 years of oppression, we never, ever, 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 ever go back to those ways that took us from the Most High. Is to make sure that we would never betray him again. We would never turn our backs on him again, and we will never step out of obedience again.
Right.
So you have to imagine that the next couple of years is going to be pretty rough. We're going to see a lot, because we're going to have to, a lot of people are talking about going back to Africa, and I feel them. Like, when I first woke up, that's where that's where I felt like I just wanted to run. I wanted to get away. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but the more I woke up, I realized that I wanted to see what happened over here. I wanted to see the miraculousness of God. And a lot of people, they say, oh, we've always had tornadoes. We've always had volcanoes. We've always had, the ice caps melting and all this crime and all this suicide and all these police murders and all this other kind of stuff. But we've never seen it on this scale. And on top of it, all talking about giving Black people reparations. I mean, all petty as they are, they talking about it. We're being talked about everywhere, y'all.
Right.
We are being talked about everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if they don't even want to put it right. The Asian people, Asian community, they talking about us. They want to say it in a more negative way, but they talking about us. They pockets is hurting because a lot of Black women is going natural. They
Right.
think they think it's something personal.
And it's,
But
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, after you, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but I definitely suggest going back to Thoughts, Camera, Action and looking at that Mothers and Daughters of Yasharel. Not only that, but the episode he did called "Here We Go Again." You know what I'm saying? I definitely encourage people to go over to Thoughts, Camera, Action and find those two lives right there, the Mothers and Daughters of Yasharel, and then the "Here We Go Again," because it is personal. It honestly, it really, really is. They've been making so much money off y'all. It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
$1 billion industry.
$1 billion industry off of y'all's hair.
Yeah.
Off of y'all, our women. Not only that, but
it's not just us. They doing it off of the women that are. We think that people are selling us this hair or selling this hair. These people that we get the hair from, they believe that they're giving their hair to God.
Right.
And they're praying stuff over that hair. And that's why they be scratching and going crazy as soon as they put it on. You know what I mean? I mean, the thing about it is, what gets me with that is, and Rouse, you can speak for me. You can help me out with this. We never said that we like that. You know what I mean? I love a natural woman. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with, you know what I'm saying? If you got it, you got it. You beautiful, you're beautiful. You know what I mean? You just, ain't nothing wrong with it. I mean, I never understood that. I never, even to the makeup, to the thing, I mean, what man is walking around pointing saying you need to get your nails done? What man is walking around and saying, the hair you need if you ain't got the hair, I don't want you. You know what I mean? Like, who's doing this? I mean, I'm not saying there's not cats out there like that, but I'm saying as from a brother standpoint, even through my walk, you know what I'm saying, I have, you know what I'm saying, like we was talking about this earlier, like just the simulation of comparing my walk to who I was before. But even when even when I was lost, I always loved natural hair women. I mean, I never got the memo, man. I never did. I mean, all our sisters are beautiful. You know what I mean?
Show is.
Well, I mean, speaking from a woman's standpoint, on the hair issue, I don't think a lot of us young girls, women now, when we were young, we never really had the option. I mean, I look at pictures of me when I was a little girl, and I don't know why my mother put a perm on my hair. It was beautiful. But once you get that creamy crack, you have to keep maintaining that or your hair literally falls out. So you just get into this routine from a young girl, and you just have to keep maintaining it, or you'll see, the difference of what happens to your hair. And we never really got an opportunity to deal with our own hair. Here I am, 42 years old now. In the last 3 years is the most I've ever dealt with my hair. The last 3 years, no, cut it all off, growing it all back, and it is a task. It's not as easy as frying it up and going about your business.
Right. And I could completely understand that because I have 2 daughters now. You know what I mean? I got a 10-year-old and a newborn. So, but with my 10-year-old, I could completely understand what you're saying. Is saying that you never had a choice. You know what I mean? I can understand that because if I could tell you how I have to be like basically a security guard of my daughter's hair. Right. You know what I mean? Like every like 2 months this comes up. You know what I mean? If it's not a family member from my wife saying, y'all should put a perm in that child head. Y'all should put a perm in her hair.
And
And
see,
I'm like, no.
see to
It comes up
piggyback
like
off of
every
what
2
both
months.
of y'all
Like,
was saying, don't mean to cut you off there, family. I don't. But to piggyback off what you was just saying about encouraging our women to keep that natural, because as far as us men go, I don't recall any one of us saying that that's what we wanted. But the
Yep.
industry has told
yeah,
our
right.
women. So here's where Sister Sharita was at. The industry, and just like the women right here are
Mhm.
saying, the industry has caused y'all to believe that straight hair, not natural hair, is what's beautiful. That's what you're
Right,
supposed to look like.
right.
And so the
Not
other
just
thing that
not just the
I
go
wanted to
ahead.
go into was like the hair care products. You know what I'm saying? So the
Mhm.
whole industry has been designed to make y'all's hair fall out and then
Mm.
cause you to go buying hair from other nations. And then
No.
I
on
never thought
top of
about it like
that,
that.
the ingredients in which is in the vast majority of hair care products has pork in
Mm.
it.
We was
I'm
just
just not.
talking about that.
What?
Yeah, we were
Hold on.
just
What
talking about
has
this the other
Yeah.
night.
spoken?
That glycerin, and like the problem that is that they don't. The problem with the labeling is that they don't. There's two kinds of glycerin. There's glycerin that comes from pigs, and then there's vegetable glycerin or natural glycerin that comes from natural fruits, vegetables, and things like that. The oil that comes from that, but they don't tell you which one is which on these labels. You feel me? So that's the other part of the corruption on forcing, pork products on us and things like that. Not only on the dinner plate, but then in your hair. They want just going to force you to, and they don't tell you which one's which. All that stuff there. So that's part of my big problem with what they've done to our women. That
And
goes hand in
glycerin is
hand with
in most
all of this,
products.
because y'all women, I'm telling you, just as an encouragement, I thank all y'all ladies in the chat for going back to being natural with your natural beautiful
Right,
curls. It
right.
don't matter if you can't get your fingers from the tip from your scalp to the tip. It don't matter. Your hair is beautiful. The naps
Yes,
is beautiful.
yes.
All right.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So as a brother that loves black women and loves his Hebrew women, it
Right,
don't matter. I'm not trying to come off wrong. I'm trying to say this the right way, just so you inspire, so you know that there are other brothers out here that feel this same way. Even if my fingers can't make the trip from your scalp to your tips, just the fact that my hand is there and you smiling as I'm doing it, you feel me? That's what matters. That's what matters. It doesn't matter if my hand can make the trip from the scalp to the tip. Just the
right,
fact that we're spending that time together, enjoying your beautiful natural hair and that bonding, that's what matters right there. So
right.
love y'all, sisters. I don't want to get too far off from the readings. I know we done ventured away good ways away
We
from it.
talking about weaves and all kind
Yeah,
of
we
stuff.
got to talking a whole lot off the scripts, but at the same time, I guess it was worthwhile to get into the depth of the
The word of truth.
scriptures and everything, all the way from that to the hair care.
But it is related because those are the traps of sin that we fall into. When
Yeah,
you can get a person to do one thing, you can get them to do another thing, and when you get them to do two things, you can get them to do four things, and that's where we at right now. We are in a system that is designed for us to continue to sin against the Most High. We have with this hair thing. It's not just they told us the media. They have laws set into place where we can't wear and I never knew this. I've
Right,
been wearing my a permed hair for all of my life. So when I come to find out there's schools, there's even states that have laws that say that black people can't wear what naturally comes out of their head. These are laws. This place was never designed for us to do anything but what they wanted us to do. And that was to sin against the Most High.
Right, Sister Cherie. And now that I think about it, just like you said with like the laws and just like even like as far as going to get a job, you know, when I was out there in the world, I was scared, like in a way, like before I got the word and before I came to my awakening, I was scared to grow my beard. You know, because some
Hmm.
jobs they don't want you with no beard. You know what I mean? They don't want you with
Yeah,
no
most
beard. They
jobs
don't
don't.
want you with no
Military.
dreads. They don't. They will. You know. They will make you cut your shave your facial hair. So as a young man, not knowing any better, you know, I was coming up, and you know, before I got my awakening and started reading Leviticus, you know, I thought that if I had a little something coming out my face, I was walking around smooth all the time, and I thought if I wasn't smooth, then something was wrong. You know, so I guess that's kind of the same thing there. You know what I mean? I have a full
Yeah.
beard now, but I was scared. I mean, I thought people was gonna look at me crazy if I went outside with a few speckles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know? Have y'all ever seen those videos where the fathers cut off their beards and then reveal it to the babies? The babies cry bloody murder. They don't recognize the man.
Right.
They'll cover their face with a towel and talk to him, and the baby is just so happy. And then they'll ease that towel down, and the baby is just like, I don't know this person. How
Man.
can I mean literally that's just how much shaving your face off, your hairs off your face. You're unrecognizable to your child.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Because I feel like it's part of my identity now. It ain't going nowhere. You know. I'm in love with it.
That's one of the reasons why I'm glad to, not be with my ex no more, because she used to have me with the smooth baby face all the time, and that's like all my exes always
Right.
wanted me to have baby face. My little pencil lines or whatever. That's my old pictures and all that stuff. With my old,
The chin
serving,
strap.
yeah, my baby face and everything. And I wanted that. I wanted my beard on my face, because man,
I
can't
ain't
be
gonna lie,
shaving
I
all
was
like
scared of
that.
mine. I was scared of mine. Like I really used to walk around. Like now, when I look at those old pictures, I be like, man, what was wrong with me? You know. But I mean, but I was scared of mine. I thought that like if I went outside with a few little hairs coming out, that like people was gonna look at me crazy and treat me different and everything. Like I don't know. It was self complacent in a way, but you know, hip hop and all that pushed that on us. I mean, how many hip hop people did we have, or you know what I'm saying, or just people on TV did we have black men with full big old beards? I mean, we had Mr. T, but I mean,
Yeah, not a whole
it's just
lot.
you know,
So I guess
Not a
the
whole lot. So
original,
y'all,
I think the original where we got off from, got lost from was, how could we step away from the Most High? That was the question, right? A long time ago, was how could they step away from the Most High, seeing all that He had done for them?
right.
And I think, let's see here. Yeah, right here. I don't understand how they could worship other gods when they have the Most High on their side. And this right here was the question, that wasn't a bad question. It was a really good question. It just got us, you know, sidetracked, because there's so many things we just got to uncovering, you know, everything, everything, all these different indoctrinations from all these other places that convinced us to do what we wasn't supposed to be doing.
Right.
So wanted to go ahead and try to get back on track and things, and finish up our study tonight. So I
all
want
right.
to go ahead and jump back on in. Oh, whew. Good stuff, though, family. Good stuff. All right. And so when the sons of Yaakov went from the city of Sartan, they had gone about 200 cubits when they met the inhabitants of Tapnach coming toward them. For they went out to fight with them, because they had smitten the king of Tapnach and all his men. So that all remained in the city of Tapnach came out to fight with the sons of Yaakov. And they thought to retake from them the booty and the spoil which they had captured from Khazar and Sartan. And the rest of the men of Tapnach fought with the sons of Jacob in that place. And the sons of Jacob smote them, and they fled before them. And they pursued them to the city of Arbalan. And they all fell before the sons of Jacob. And the sons of Jacob returned and came to Tapnach to take away the spoil of Tapnach. And when they came to Tapnach, they heard that the people of Arbalan had gone out to meet them to save the spoil of their brethren. And the sons of Jacob left 10 of their men in Tapnach to plunder the city. And they went out toward the people of Arbalan. And the men of Arbalan went out with their wives to fight the sons of Jacob, for their wives were experienced in battle. And they went out, about 400 men and women. And all the sons of Jacob shouted with a loud voice, and they all ran towards the inhabitants of Arbalan, and with a great and tremendous voice. And the inhabitants of Arbalan heard the noise of the shouting of the sons of Jacob, and their roaring like the noise of lions, and like the roaring of the sea and its waves. And the fear and terror possessed their hearts on account of the sons of Jacob, and they were terribly afraid of them. And they retreated and fled before them into the city. And the sons of Jacob pursued them to the gate of the city, and they came upon them in the city. And the sons of Jacob fought with them in the city, and all their women were engaged in slinging against the sons of Jacob. And the combat was very severe amongst them the whole of the day till evening. And the sons of Jacob could not prevail over them. And the sons of Jacob had almost perished in that battle. And the sons of Jacob cried unto Yahuwah and greatly gained strength toward evening. And the sons of Jacob smote all the inhabitants of Arbalan by the edge of the sword, men, women, and little ones. And also the remainder of the people who had fled from Sartan. The sons of Jacob smote them in Arbalan. And the sons of Jacob did unto Arbalan and Tapnach as they had done to Khazar and Sartan. And when the women saw that all the men were dead, they went upon the roofs of the city and smote the sons of Jacob by showering down stones like rain. And the sons of Jacob hastened and came into the city and seized all the women and smote them with the edge of the sword. And the sons of Jacob captured all the spoil and booty, flocks and herds and cattle. And the sons of Jacob did unto Machnamah as they had done to Tapnach, to Khazar, and to Shiloh, and they turned from there and went away. And on the 5th day, the sons of Jacob heard that the people of Gaash had gathered against them to battle, because they had slain their king and their captains, for they had been 14 captains in the city of Gaash. And the sons of Jacob had slain them all in the first battle. And the sons of Jacob that day girt on their weapons of war, and they marched to battle against the inhabitants of Gaash. And in Gaash there was a strong and mighty people of the Amorites. And Gaash was the strongest and best fortified of the cities of the Amorites, and it had 3 walls. And the sons of Jacob came to Gaash, and they found the gates of the city locked, and about 500 men standing at the top of the outermost wall. And a people numerous as the sand of the seashore were in an ambush for the sons of Jacob from without the city at the rear thereof. And the sons of Jacob approached to open the gates of the city, and whilst they were drawing nigh, behold, those who were in ambush at the rear of the city came forth from their places and surrounded the sons of Jacob. And the sons of Jacob were enclosed between the people of Gaash, and the battle was upon their front and rear. And all the men that were upon the wall were casting from the wall upon them arrows and stones. And Yehuda, seeing the men of Gaash were getting too heavy for them, gave a most piercing and tremendous shriek. And all the men of Gaash were terrified at the voice of Yehuda's cry. And men fell from the wall at his powerful shriek. And all those that were from without and within the city were greatly afraid of their lives. And the sons of Jacob were still And the sons of Jacob still came nigh to break the doors of the city, when the men of Gaash threw stones and arrows upon them from the top of the wall, and made them flee from the gate. And the sons of Jacob returned against the men of Gaash, who were with them from without the city, and they smote them terribly, as striking against gourds. And they could not stand against the sons of Jacob, for fright and terror had seized them at the shriek of Yehuda. And the sons of Jacob slew all those men who were without the city. And the sons of Jacob still drew nigh to effect an entrance into the city, and to fight under the city walls. But they could not, for all the inhabitants of Gaash who remained in the city had surrounded the walls of Gaash in every direction, so that the sons of Jacob were unable to approach the city to fight with them. And the sons of Jacob came nigh to one corner to fight under the wall, the inhabitants of Gaash, and came under to fight under the wall. The inhabitants of Gaash threw arrows and stones upon them like a shower of rain, and they fled from under the wall. And the people of Gaash who were upon the wall, seeing the sons of Jacob could not prevail over them from under the wall, reproached the sons of Jacob in these words, saying, "What is the matter with you in the battle that you cannot prevail? Can you then do unto the mighty city of Gaash as and its inhabitants as you did to the cities of the Amorites that were not so powerful? Surely those weak ones amongst you did those things, and slew them in the entrance of the city, for they had no strength, that they were terrified at the sound of your shouting. And will you now then be able to fight in this place? Surely here you will die, you will all die, and we will avenge the cause of those cities that you have laid waste." And the inhabitants of Gaash greatly reproached the sons of Jacob, and reviled them with their God, with their Elohim, and continued to cast arrows and stones upon them from the wall. And Yehuda and his brothers heard the words of the inhabitants of Gaash, and their anger was greatly roused. And Yehuda was jealous of his Elohim in this matter. And he called out and said, "O Yahuwah, help, send help to us and our brothers." And he ran at a distance with all his might, with his drawn sword in his hand, and he sprang from the earth, and by dint of his strength mounted the wall, and his sword fell from his hand. And Yehuda shouted upon the wall, and all the men that were upon the wall were terrified. And some of them fell from the wall into the city and died. And those who were yet upon the wall, when they saw Yehuda's strength, they were greatly afraid and fled for their lives into the city for safety. And some were emboldened to fight with Yehuda upon the wall, and they came nigh to slay him. And when they saw there was no sword in Yehuda's hand, they thought of casting him from the wall to his brothers. And 20 men of the city came up to assist them, and they surrounded Yehuda. And they all shouted over him, and approached him with drawn swords. And they terrified Yehuda. And Yehuda cried out to his brothers from the wall. And Jacob and his sons drew the bow from under the wall, and smote 3 of the men that were upon the top of the wall. And Yehuda continued to cry, and he exclaimed, "O Yahuwah, help us! O Yahuwah, deliver us!" And he cried out with a loud voice upon the wall, and the cry was heard at a great distance. And after this cry, he again repeated to shout. Okay, let me read that one more time. And after this cry, he again repeated to shout. And all the men who surrounded Yehuda on the top of the wall were terrified. And they each threw his sword from his hand at the sound of Yehuda's shouting and his tremor, and fled. And Yehuda took the swords which had fallen from their hands, and Yehuda fought with them, and slew 20 of their men upon the wall. And about 80 men and women still ascended the wall from the city, and they all surrounded Yehuda. And Yahuwah impressed the fear of Yehuda in their hearts, and they were unable to approach him. And Jacob And all who were with him drew the bow from under the wall, and they slew 10 men upon the wall, and they fell below the wall before Jacob and his sons. And the people upon the wall, seeing that 20 of their men had fallen, they still ran toward Yehuda with drawn swords. But they could not approach him, for they were greatly terrified at Yehuda's strength. And one of their mighty men, whose name was Arud, approached to strike Yehuda upon the head with his sword, when Yehuda hastily put his shield to his head, and the sword hit the shield, and it was split in two. And this mighty man, after he had struck Yehuda, ran for his life at the fear of Yehuda, and his feet slipped upon the wall, and he fell amongst the sons of Jacob, who were below the wall. And the sons of Jacob smote him and slew him. And Yehuda's head pained from the blow of the powerful man, and Yehuda had nearly died from it. And Yehuda cried out upon the wall, owing the pain produced by the blow. When Dan heard him, and his anger burned within him, and he also rose up and went at a distance and ran and sprang from the earth and mounted the wall with his wrath-excited strength. And when Dan came upon the wall near unto Yehuda, all the men upon the wall fled, who had stood against Yehuda, and they went up to the second wall, and they threw arrows and stones upon Dan and Yehuda from the second wall, and endeavored to drive them from the wall. And the arrows and stones struck Dan and Yehuda, and they had nearly been killed upon the wall. And wherever Dan and Yehuda fled from the wall, they were attacked with arrows and stones from the second wall. And Jacob and his sons were still at the entrance of the city below the first wall, and they were not able to draw their bow against the inhabitants of the city, as they could not be seen by them, being upon the second wall. And Dan and Yehuda, when they could no longer bear the stones and arrows that fell upon them from the second wall, they both sprang upon the second wall near the people of the city. And when the people of the city who were upon the second wall saw that Dan and Yehuda had come to them upon the second wall, they all cried out and descended below between the walls. And Jacob and his sons heard the noise of the shouting from the people in the city, or people of the city, and they were still not at the entrance of the city. And they were anxious about Dan and Yehuda, who were not seen by them, they being upon the second wall. And Naphtali went up and with his wrath-excited might and sprang upon the first wall to see what caused the noise of shouting which they had heard in the city. And Issachar and Zebulun drew nigh to break the doors of the city, and they opened the gates of the city and came into the city. And Naphtali leaped from the first wall to the second, and came to assist his brothers. And the inhabitants of Gaash were upon the wall, seeing that Naphtali was the third who had came upon to assist his brothers. And they all fled and descended into the city. And Jacob and all his sons and all their young men came into the city to them. And Yehuda and Dan and Naphtali descended from the wall into the city and pursued the inhabitants of the city. And Simon and Levi were from without the city, and knew not that the gate was opened. And they went up from there to the wall and came down to their brothers into the city. And the inhabitants of the city and all descended into the city, and the sons of Jacob came to them in different directions. And the battle waged against them from the front and the rear, and the sons of Jacob smote them terribly, and slew about 20,000 of them, men and women. Not one of them could stand up against the sons of Jacob. And the blood flowed plentifully in the city, and it was like a brook of water, and the blood flowed like a brook to the outer part of the city, and reached the desert of Beth Horon, or Horin. And the people of Beth Horin saw at a distance the blood flowing from the city of Gaash, and about 70 men from amongst them ran to see the blood. And they came to the place where the blood was. And they followed the track of the blood and came to the wall of the city of Gaash. And they saw the blood issue from the city. And they heard the voice of crying from the inhabitants of Gaash, for it ascended unto heaven. And the blood was continuing to flow abundantly like a brook of water. And the sons of Jacob were still smiting the inhabitants of Gaash, and when engaged in slaying them till evening, about 20,000 men and women. And the people of Harim said, surely this is the work of the Hebrews, for they are still carrying on war in all the cities of the Amorites. And those people hastened and ran to Beth Horon, and each took his weapons of war, and they cried out to all the inhabitants of Beth Horon, who also girt on their weapons of war to go and fight with the sons of Jacob. And when the sons of Jacob had done smiting the inhabitants of Gaash, they walked about the city to strip all the slain, and coming in the innermost part of the city and farther on, they met 3 very powerful men, and there was no sword in their hand. And the sons of Jacob came upon to the place where they were, and the powerful men ran away. And one of them had taken Zebulun, who he saw was a young lad and of short stature, and with his might dashed him to the ground. And Jacob ran to him with his sword, and Jacob smote him below his loins with the sword, and cut him in 2, and the body fell upon Zebulun. And the second one approached and seized Jacob to fell him to the ground. And Jacob turned to him and shouted to him, while Simeon and Levi ran and smote him on the hips with the sword, and fell him to the ground. And the powerful man rose up from the ground with wrath excited might, and Yehuda came to him before he had gained his footing, and struck him upon the head with the sword, and his head was split, and he died. And the third powerful man, seeing that his companions were killed, ran from before the sons of Jacob, and the sons of Jacob pursued him in the city. And whilst the powerful man was fleeing, they found one of the swords of the inhabitants of the city, and he picked it up and turned to the sons of Jacob and fought them with the sword. And the powerful man ran to Yehuda to strike him upon the head with the sword, and there was no shield in the hand of Yehuda. And whilst he was aiming to strike him, Naphtali hastily took his shield and put it to Yehuda's head. And the sword of the powerful man hit the shield of Naphtali, and Yehuda escaped the sword. And Simeon and Levi ran upon the powerful man with their swords, and struck at him forcibly with their swords. And the 2 swords entered the body of the powerful man and divided it in 2, lengthwise. And the sons of Jacob smote the 3 mighty men at that time, together with all the inhabitants of Gaash. And the day was about to decline. And the sons of Jacob walked about Gaash and took all the spoil of the city, even the little ones, and the women they did not suffer to live. And the sons of Jacob did unto Gaash as they had done to Sartan and Shiloh. And the sons of Jacob led away all the spoil of Gaash, and went out of the city by night. They were going out marching towards the castle of Beth Horon, and the inhabitants of Beth Horon were going to the castle to meet them. And on that night, the sons of Jacob fought with the inhabitant of Beth Horon, and in this castle of Beth Horon. And all the inhabitants of Beth Horon were mighty men. One of them would not flee from before 1,000 men. And they fought on that night upon the castle. And their shouts were heard on that night from afar, and the earth quaked at their shouting. And all the sons of Jacob were afraid of those men, as they were not accustomed to fight in the dark. And they were greatly confounded. And the sons of Jacob cried unto Yahuwah, saying, give help to us, O Yahuwah. Deliver us, that we may not die by the hands of these uncircumcised men. And Yahuwah hearkened unto the voice of the sons of Jacob. And Yahuwah caused great terror and confusion to seize the people of Beth Horon. And they fought amongst themselves, the one with the other, in the darkness of night, and smote each other in great numbers. And the sons of Jacob, knowing that Yahuwah had brought a spirit of perverseness amongst those men, and that they fought each man with his neighbor, went forth from among the bands of the people of Beth Horon, and went as far as the descent of the castle of Beth Horon, and farther, and they tarried there securely with their young men on that night. So basically, if you're not able to keep with this right here, because some of the language, the Most High put a confusion on these people of Beth Horon, to where they pretty much killed each other. And so as soon as the sons of Jacob realized that they were killing each other, they decided to go ahead and go into a certain part of the city where they just tucked themselves off while they were killing each other off, up until, they pretty much felt they had to come out and finish the job. And the people of Beth Horon fought the whole night, one man with his brother and the other with his neighbor. And they cried out in every direction upon the castle, and their cry was heard at a distance. And the whole earth shook at their voice, for they were powerful above all the people of the earth, and all the inhabitants of the cities of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the kings of Canaan. And all those who were on the other side of the Jordan heard the noise of the shouting on that night. And they said, surely these are the battles of the Hebrews, who are fighting against the 7 cities who came nigh unto them. And who can stand against those Hebrews? And all the inhabitants of the cities of the Canaanites, and all those who were on the other side of the Jordan, were greatly afraid of the sons of Jacob. For they said, behold, the same will be done to us as was done to those cities. For who can stand against their mighty strength? And the cries of the Koranites were very great on that night, and continued to increase. And they smote each other till morning, and the numbers of them were killed. And in the morning appeared, and all the sons of Jacob rose up at daybreak and went up to the castle, and they smote those who remained of the Koranites in a terrible manner, and they were all killed in the castle. And the 6th day appeared, and all the inhabitants of Canaan saw at a distance all the people of Beth Horon lying dead in the castle of Beth Horon, and strewed about as the carcasses of lambs and goats. And the sons of Jacob led all the spoil which they had captured from Gaash, and went to Beth Horon. And they found the city full of people like the sand of the sea, and they fought with them. And the sons of Jacob smote them there till evening time. And the sons of Jacob did unto Beth Horon as they had done to Gaash and to Tapnach, and as they had done to Khazar and Sartan and to Shiloh. And the sons of Jacob took with them the spoil of Beth Horon, and all the spoil of the cities. And on that day they went home to Shechem. And the sons of Jacob came home to the city of Shechem, and they remained without the city. And they then rested from their war, and tarried there all night. And all their servants together with all the spoil that they had taken from the cities, they left without the city, and they did not enter the city. For they said, peradventure, there may be yet more fighting against us, and they may come to besiege us in Shechem or Shechem. And Jacob and his sons and their servants remained on that night and the next day in the portion of the field which Jacob had purchased from Hamor for 5 shekels. And all that they had captured was with them. And all the booty which the sons of Jacob had captured was in the portion of the field, immense as the sand upon the seashore. And the inhabitants of the land observed them from afar. And all the inhabitants of the land were afraid of the sons of Jacob who had done this thing. For no king from the days of old have ever done the like. And the 7 kings of the Canaanites resolved to make peace with the sons of Jacob. for they were greatly afraid of their lives on account of the sons of Jacob. And on that day, being the seventh day, Japhia, king of Hebron, sent secretly to the king of Ai, and to the king of Gibeon, and to the king of Shalem, and to the king of Adullam, and to the king of Lachish, and to the king of Khazar, and to the king of the Canaanish, or Canaanish, or Canaan, Canaanish. Ooh, this messing me up. Misalaki, I'll get it one day. Canaanish kings who were under their subjection, saying, "Go up with me and come to me, that we may go to the sons of Jacob, and I will make peace with them and form a treaty with them, lest all your lands be destroyed by the swords of the sons of Jacob, as they did to Shechem and the cities around it. And have you heard and seen? And when you come to me, do not come with many men, but let every king bring his 3 head captains, and every captain bring 3 of his officers. And come all of you to Hebron, and we will go together to the sons of Jacob and supplicate them that they shall form a treaty of peace with us." And all those kings did as the king of Hebron had said to them, for they were all under his counsel and command. And all the kings of Canaan assembled to go to the sons of Jacob to make peace with them. And the sons of Jacob returned and went to the portion of the field that was in Shechem, for they did not put confidence in the kings of the land. And the sons of Jacob returned and remained in the portion of the field 10 days, and no one came to make war with them. And when the sons of Jacob saw that there was no appearance of war, they all assembled and went to the city of Shechem. And the sons of Jacob remained in Shechem. And at the expiration of 40 days, all the kings of the Amorites assembled from all their places and came to Hebron. And Japhia, king of Hebron, and the number of kings that came to Hebron to make peace with the sons of Jacob was 21 kings. And the number of captains that came with them was 69. And their men were 189. And all these kings and their men rested by Mount Hebron. And the king of Hebron went out with his 3 captains and 9 men. And these kings resolved to go to the sons of Jacob to make peace. And they said unto the king of Hebron, Go thou before us with thy men, and speak for us unto the sons of Jacob, and we will come after thee and confirm thy words. And the king of Hebron did so. And the sons of Jacob heard all that the kings of Canaan had gathered together and rested in Hebron. And the sons of Jacob sent 4 of their servants as spies, saying, Go and spy these kings, and search and examine their men, whether they are few or many. And if they are but few in number, number them all and come back. And the servants of Jacob went secretly to these kings, and did as the sons of Jacob had commanded them. And on that day they came back to the sons of Jacob, and said unto them, We came unto those kings, and they are but a few in number, and we numbered them all, and behold, they were 288 kings and men. And the sons of Jacob said, They are but few in number, therefore we will not all go out to them. And in the morning the sons of Jacob rose up and chose 62 of their men, and 10 of the sons of Jacob went with them. And they girt on their weapons of war, for they said, They are coming to make war with us. For they knew not that they were coming to make peace with them. And the sons of Jacob went with the servants to the gate of Shechem, toward those kings, and their father Jacob was with them. And when they had come forth, behold, the king of Hebron and his 3 captains and 9 men with him were coming along the road against the sons of Jacob. And the sons of Jacob lifted up their eyes and saw at a distance Japhia, king of Hebron, with his captains coming toward them. And the sons of Jacob took their stand at the place of the gate of Shechem. and did not proceed. And the king of Hebron continued to advance, he and his captains, until he came nigh to the sons of Jacob. And he and his captains bowed down to them to the ground. And the king of Hebron sat with his captains before Jacob and his sons. And the sons of Jacob said unto him, What has befallen thee, O king of Hebron? Why hast thou come to us this day? What dost thou require from us? And the king of Hebron said unto Jacob, I beseech thee, my Adonai, all the kings of the Canaanites have this day come to make peace with you. And the sons of Jacob heard the words of the king of Hebron, and they would not consent to his proposals, for the sons of Jacob had no faith in him, for they imagined that the king of Hebron had spoken deceitfully to them. And the king of Hebron knew from the words of the sons of Jacob that they did not believe his words. And the king of Hebron approached nearer to Jacob and said unto him, I beseech thee, my Adonai, to be assured that all these kings have come to you on peaceable terms, for they have not come with all their men, neither did they bring their weapons of war with them, for they have come to seek peace from my Adonai and his sons. And the sons of Jacob answered the king of Hebron, saying, Send thou to all these kings, and if thou speakest truth unto us, let them each come singingly before us. And if they come unto us unarmed, we shall then know that they seek peace from us. And Japhia, king of Hebron, sent one of his men to the kings, and they all came before the sons of Jacob and bowed down to them to the ground. And these kings sat before Jacob and his sons, and they spoke unto them, saying, We have heard all that you did unto the kings of the Amorites with your sword and exceedingly mighty arm, so that no man could stand up before you. And we were afraid of you for the sake of our lives, lest it should befall us as it did to them. So we have come unto you to form a treaty of peace between us. And now therefore contract with us a covenant of peace and truth, that you will not meddle with us, inasmuch as we have not meddled with you. And the sons of Jacob knew that they had really come to seek peace from them. And the sons of Jacob listened to them and formed a covenant with them. And the sons of Jacob swore unto them that they would not meddle with them. And all the kings of the Canaanites swore also to them, and the sons of Jacob made them tributary from that day forward. And after this, all the captains of the kings came with their men before Jacob, with presents in their hands, for Jacob and his sons, and they bowed down to him to the ground. And these kings were urged the sons of Jacob and begged of them to return all the spoil they had captured from the 7 cities of the Amorites. And the sons of Jacob did so. And they returned all that they had captured, the women, the little ones, the cattle, and all the spoil which they had taken. And they sent them off. And they went away each to his city. And all these kings again bowed down to the sons of Jacob. And they sent or brought them many gifts in those days. And the sons of Jacob sent off these kings and their men. And they went peaceably away from them to their cities. And the sons of Jacob also returned to their home, to Shechem. And there was peace from that day forward between the sons of Jacob and the kings of the Canaanites, until the children of Yasharel came to inherit the land of Canaan. And at the revolution of the year, the sons of Jacob journeyed from Shechem, and they came to Hebron, to their father Yishak. And they dwelt there, but their flocks and herds they fed daily in Shechem, for there was there in those days good and fat pasture. And Jacob and his sons and all their household dwelt in the valley of Hebron. And it was in those days, that the year being 106th year of the life of Jacob, in the 10th year of Jacob's coming from Padan Aram, that Leah, the wife of Jacob, died. She was 51 years old when she died in Hebron. And Jacob and his sons buried her in the cave of the field of Machpelah. which is in Hebron, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth, for the possession of a burial place. And the sons of Jacob dwelt with their father in the valley of Hebron. And all the inhabitants of the land knew their strength. Their fame went out throughout the land. And Yusuf, the son of Jacob, and his brother Benjamin, the sons of Rachel, the wife of Jacob, were yet young in those days, and did not go out with their brethren during their battles in all the cities of the Amorites. And when Yusuf saw the strength of his brethren and their greatness, he praised them and extolled them, but he ranked himself greater than them and extolled himself above them. And Jacob his father also loved him more than any of his sons, for he was a son of his old age, and through his love toward him, he made him a coat of many colors. And when Joseph saw that his father loved him more than his brethren, he continued to exalt himself above his brethren. And he brought unto his father evil reports concerning them. And the sons of Jacob, seeing the whole of Yusuf's conduct toward them, and that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him all the days. And Joseph was 17 years old, and when he was still magnifying himself above his brethren, and thought of raising himself above them. At the time he dreamed a dream, and he came unto his brothers and told them his dream. And he said unto them, I dreamed a dream, and behold, we were all binding sheaves in the field, and my sheaf rose and placed itself upon the ground, and your sheaves surrounded it and bowed down to it. And his brethren answered him and said unto him, What meaneth this dream that thou didst dream? Dost thou imagine in thy heart to reign or rule over us? And he still came and told the thing to his father Jacob. And Jacob kissed Joseph when he heard these words from his mouth. And Jacob blessed Joseph. And when the sons of Jacob saw that their father had blessed Joseph and had kissed him, and that he loved him exceedingly, they became jealous of him and hated him the more. And after this, Joseph dreamed another dream and related the dream to his father in the presence of his brethren. And Joseph said unto his father and brethren, Behold, I have again dreamed a dream. And behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowed down to me. And his father heard the words of Joseph in his dream. And seeing that his brethren hated Joseph on account of this matter, Jacob therefore rebuked Joseph before his brethren on account of this thing, saying, What meaneth this dream that thou hast dreamed, and this magnifying thyself before thy brethren, who are older than thou art? Dost thou imagine in thy heart that I and thy mother and thy 11 brethren will come and bow down to thee, that thou speakest these things? And his brethren were jealous of him on account of his words and dreams, and they continued to hate him. And Jacob reserved the dreams in his heart. And the sons of Jacob went one day to feed their father's flock in Shechem, for they were still herdsmen in those days. And whilst the sons of Jacob were that day feeding in Shechem, they delayed, and the time of gathering in the cattle was past, and they had not arrived. And Jacob saw that his sons were delayed in Shechem. And Jacob said within himself, Peradventure the people of Shechem have risen up to fight against them. Therefore they have delayed coming this day. And Jacob called Joseph, his son, and commanded him, saying, Behold, thy brethren are feeding in Shechem this day, and behold, they have not yet come back. Go now, therefore, and see where they are, and bring me word back concerning the welfare of thy brethren and the welfare of the flock. And Jacob sent his son Joseph to the valley of Hebron, and Joseph came to his brothers to Shechem and could not find them. And Joseph went about the field which was near Shechem to see where his brothers had turned, and he missed his road in the wilderness and knew not which was the way he should go. And an angel of Yahuwah found him wandering in the road towards the field. And Joseph said unto the angel of Yahuwah, I seek my brethren. Hast thou not heard where they are feeding? And the angel of Yahuwah said unto Joseph, I saw thy brethren feeding here, and I heard them saying they will go to feed in Dothan. And Joseph hearkened to the voice of the angel of Yahuwah, and he went to his brethren in Dothan, and he found them in Dothan, feeding the flock. And Joseph advanced to his brethren, and before he had come nigh unto them, they had resolved to slay him. And Simeon Simeon said to his brethren, Behold, the man of dreams is coming unto us this day. And now therefore come and let us kill him and cast him in one of the pits that are in the wilderness. And when his father shall seek him from us, we shall say an evil beast has devoured him. And Reuben heard the words of his brethren concerning Joseph. And he said unto them, You should not do this thing. For how can we look upon our father Jacob? Cast him into this pit to die there, but stretch not forth a hand upon him to spill his blood. And Reuben said this in order to deliver him from their hand, to bring him back to his father. And when Joseph came to his brethren, he sat before them, and they rose upon him and seized him and smote him to the earth and stripped the coat of many colors which he had on. And they took him and cast him into a pit. And in that pit there was no water, but serpents and scorpions. And Joseph was afraid of the serpents and scorpions that were in the pit. And Joseph cried out with a loud voice, and Yahuwah hid the serpents and scorpions in the sides of the pit. And they did no harm unto Joseph. And Joseph called out from the pit to his brethren and said unto them, What have I done unto you? And what have I sinned? Why do you not fear Yahuwah concerning me? Am I not of your bones and flesh? And is not Jacob your father and my father? Why do you do this thing unto me this day? And how will you be able to look up to our father Jacob? And he continued to cry out and call unto his brethren from the pit. And he said, O Yehuda, Simeon, Levi, my brethren, lift me up from the place of darkness in which you have placed me, and come this day to have compassion on me. Ye children of Yahuwah, and sons of Jacob, my father, and if I have sinned unto you, are you not the sons of Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob? If they saw an orphan, they had compassion over him. Or one that was hungry, they gave him bread to eat. Or one that was thirsty, they gave him water to drink. Or one that was naked, they covered him with garments. And how then will you withhold your pity from your brother? For I am of your flesh and bones. And if I have sinned unto you, surely you will do this on account of my father. And Joseph spoke these words from the pit, and his brethren could not listen to him, nor incline their ears towards the words of Joseph. And Joseph was crying and weeping in the pit. And Joseph said, Oh, that my father knew this day the act which my brothers have done unto me, and the words which they have this day spoken unto me. And all his brethren heard his cries and weeping in the pit. And his brethren went and removed themselves from the pit, so they might not hear the cries of Joseph and his weeping in the pit. And they went and sat on the opposite side about the distance of a bow shot. And they sat there to eat bread. And whilst they were eating, they held counsel together what was to be done with him, whether to slay him or to bring him back to his father. They were holding the counsel when they lifted up their eyes and saw, and behold, there was a company of Ishmaelites coming at a distance by the road of Gilead, going down to Egypt. And Yehuda said unto them, What gain will it be to us if we slay our brother? Peradventure, Elohim will require him from us. This then is the counsel proposed concerning him, which you shall do unto him. Behold, this company of Ishmaelites going down to Egypt. Now therefore come, let us dispose of him to them, and let not our hand be upon him, and they will lead him along with them, and he will be lost amongst the people of the land. And we will not put him to death with our hands, with our own hands. And the proposal pleased his brethren, and they did according to the word of Yehuda. And whilst they were discoursing about this matter, and before the company of Ishmaelites had come up to them, 7 trading men of Midian passed by them. And as they passed, they were thirsty, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the pit in which Joseph was immersed. And they looked, and behold, every species of bird was upon him. And these Midianites ran to the pit to drink water, for they thought that it contained water. And on coming before the pit, they heard the voice of Joseph crying and weeping in the pit. And they looked down into the pit, and they saw, and behold, there was a youth comely appearance and well favored. And they called unto him and said, Who art thou? And who brought thee hither? And who placed thee in this pit, in the wilderness? And they all assisted to raise Joseph, and they drew him out, and brought him up from the pit, and took him, and went away on their journey, and passed by his brethren. And these said unto them, Why do you do this, to take our servant from us, and go away? Surely we placed this youth in the pit because he rebelled against us, and you come and bring him up, and lead him away? Now then give us back our servant. And the Midianites answered and said unto the sons of Jacob, Is this your servant, or does this man attend you? Peradventure, you are all his servants, for he is more comely and well favored than any of you. And why do you all speak falsely unto us? Now therefore we will not listen to your words, nor attend to you. For we found the youth in the pit in the wilderness, and we took him. We will therefore go on. And all the sons of Jacob approached them, and rose up to them, and said unto them, Give us back our servant. And why will you all die by the edge of the sword? And the Midianites cried out against them, and they drew their swords, and approached to fight with the sons of Jacob. And behold, Simeon rose up from his seat against them, and sprang upon the ground, and drew his sword, and approached the Midianites, and gave a terrible shout before them, so that his shouting was heard at a distance, and the earth shook at Simeon's shouting. And the Midianites were terrified on account of Simeon, and the noise of his shouting, and they fell upon their faces, and were exceedingly alarmed. And Simeon said unto them, Verily, I am Simeon, the son of Jacob, the Hebrew, who have only with my brother destroyed the city of Shechem, and the cities of the Amorites. And so shall Elohim moreover do unto me, that if all your brethren, the people of Midian, and also the kings of Canaan, were to come with you, they could not fight against me. Now therefore give us back the youth whom you have taken, lest I give your flesh to the birds of the skies and the beasts of the earth. And the Midianites were more afraid of Simeon, and they approached the sons of Jacob with terror and fright, and with pathetic words, saying, Surely you have said that the young man is your servant, and that he rebelled against you, and therefore you placed him in the pit. What then will you do with the servant who rebels against his master? Now therefore sell him unto us. We will give you all that you require for him. And Yahuwah was pleased to do this in order that the sons of Jacob should not slay their brother. And the Midianites saw that Joseph was of a comely appearance and well favored. They desired him in their hearts, and were urgent to purchase him from his brethren. And the sons of Jacob hearkened to the Midianites, and they sold their brother Joseph to them for 20 pieces of silver. And Reuben and their brother was not with them. And the Midianites took Joseph and continued their journey to Gilead. And they were going along the road, and the Midianites repented of what they had done, and having purchased the young man. And one said to the other, What is this thing that we have done? In taking this youth from the Hebrews, who was of comely appearance and well favored. Perhaps this youth is stolen from the land of the Hebrews, And why then have we done this thing? And if he should be sought for and found in our hands, we shall die through him. Now surely hardy and powerful men have sold him to us. The strength of one of whom you saw this day, perhaps they stole him from his land with their might and with their powerful arm, and have therefore sold him to us for the small value which we gave unto them. And whilst they were thus discoursing together, they looked, and behold, the company of Ishmaelites, which was coming at first, and which the sons of Jacob saw, was advancing toward them, or toward the Midianites. And the Midianites said to each other, come, let us sell the youth to the company of Ishmaelites who are coming toward us. We will take for him the little that we gave for him, and we will be delivered from his evil. And they did so. And they reached the Ishmaelites, and the Midianites sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, which they had given for him to his brethren. And the Midianites went on their road to Gilead, and the Ishmaelites took Joseph, and they took him, and they let him ride upon one of the camels, and they were leading him to Egypt. And Joseph heard that the Ishmaelites were proceeding to Egypt, and Joseph lamented and wept at this thing, that he was to be so far removed from the land of Canaan, from his father, and he wept bitterly whilst he was riding upon the camel. And one of their men observed him, and made him go down from the camel and walk on foot. And notwithstanding this, Joseph continued to cry and weep, and he said, "Oh, my father, my father." And one of the Ishmaelites rose up and smote Joseph upon the cheek, and still he continued to weep. And Joseph was fatigued in the road, and was unable to proceed on account of the bitterness of his soul. And they all smote him and afflicted him on the road. And they terrified him in order that he might cease from weeping. And Yahuwah saw the ambition of Joseph and his trouble. And Yahuwah brought down upon those men darkness and confusion. And the hand of every one that smote him became withered. And they said to each other, "What is this thing that Elohim has done to us in the road?" And they knew not that this befell them on account of Joseph. And the men proceeded on the road, and they passed along the road to Ephrath, where Rachel was buried. And Joseph reached his mother's grave, and Joseph hastened and ran to his mother's grave, and fell upon the grave and wept. And Joseph cried aloud upon his mother's grave. And he said, "Oh, my mother, O thou who didst give me birth, awake now and rise and see thy son, how he has been sold for a slave, and no one to pity him. O rise and see thy son, weep with me on account of my troubles, and see the heart of my brethren. Arouse, my mother, arouse. Awake from thy sleep from me, and direct thy battles against my brethren, how have they stripped me of my coat, and sold me already twice for a slave, and separated me from my father, and there is no one to pity me. Arouse, and lay thy cause against them before Elohim, and see whom Elohim will justify in the judgment. Whom Elohim will justify in the judgment, and whom will he condemn? Rise, O my mother, rise. Awake from thy sleep, and see my father, how his soul is with me this day, and comfort him and ease his heart." And Joseph continued to speak these words. And Joseph cried aloud and wept bitterly upon his mother's grave. And he ceased speaking, and from bitterness of heart he became still as a stone upon the grave. And Joseph heard a voice speaking to him from beneath the ground, which answered him with a bitterness of heart, and with a voice of weeping and praying in these words: "O my son Joseph, I have heard the voice of thy weeping and the voice of thy lamentation. I have seen thy tears. I know thy troubles, my son, and it grieves me for thy sake, and abundant grief is added to my grief. And now, therefore, my son, Joseph, my son, hope to Yahuwah, and wait for him, and do not fear, for Yahuwah is with thee. he will deliver thee from all trouble. Get you back in here. There you go. Rise, my son, and go down unto Egypt with thy masters, and do not fear, for Yahuwah is with thee, my son. And she continued to speak like unto these words unto Joseph, and she was still. And Joseph heard this, and he wondered greatly at this. And he continued to weep. And after this, one of the Ishmaelites observed him crying and weeping upon the grave, and his anger was kindled against him. And he drove him from there, and he smote him and cursed him. And Joseph said unto the men, May I find grace in your sight to take me back to my father's house. He will give you abundance of riches. And they answered him, saying, Art thou not a slave? And where is thy father? And if thou hadst a father, thou wouldst not already twice have been sold for a slave for so little value. And their anger was still roused against him. And they continued to smite him and chastise him. And Joseph wept bitterly. And Yahuwah saw Joseph's affliction. And Yahuwah again smote these men and chastised them. And Yahuwah caused darkness to envelop them upon the earth. And the lightning flashed, and the thunder roared, and the earth shook at the voice of the thunder and the mighty wind. And the men were terrified and knew not where they should go. And the beasts and camels stood still, and they led them, but they would not go. They smote them, and they crouched upon the ground. And the men said to each other, What is this that Elohim has done to us? What are our transgressions? And what are our sins that this thing has thus befallen us? And one of them answered and said unto them, Perhaps on account of the sin of afflicting this slave was this thing happened to us, or happened this day to us. Now therefore implore him strongly to forgive us, and then we shall know on whose account this evil has befallen us. And if Elohim shall have compassion over us, then we shall know that all this cometh to us on account of the sin of afflicting the slave. And the men did so, and they supplicated Joseph, and pressed him to forgive them. And they said, We have sinned to Yahuwah and to thee. Now therefore vouchsafe to request to thy Elohim that he shall put away this death from amongst us, for we have sinned to him. And Joseph did according to their words, and Yahuwah hearkened to Joseph. And Yahuwah put away the plague which he had inflicted upon those men on account of Joseph. And the beasts rose up from the ground, and they conducted them, and they went on. And the raging storm abated, and the earth became tranquilized. And the men proceeded on their journey to go down to Egypt. And the men knew that this evil had befallen them on account of Joseph. And they said to each other, Behold, we know that it was on account of his affliction that this evil befell us. Now therefore we shall bring this death, or now therefore why shall we bring this death upon our souls? Let us hold counsel what to do to this slave. And one answered and said, Surely he told us to bring him back to his father. Now therefore come, let us take him back, and we will go to the place that he will tell us, and take from his family the price that we gave for him, and we will then go away. And one answered again and said, Behold, this counsel was very good, but we cannot do so, for the way is very far from us, and we cannot go out of our road. And one more answered and said unto them, This is the counsel to be adopted. We will not swerve from it. Behold, we are this day going to Egypt. When we shall have come to Egypt, we will sell him there at a high price, and we will be delivered from his evil. And this thing pleased the men, and they did so, and they continued their journey with Joseph. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop right there. That's a nice little cliffhanger spot. And so let me see here right quick. Make sure. So I know I shared this link the other day, and I want to make sure I do it again. Because this reading is so good. Here y'all go. And so there's the link to this PDF that I've been reading. And so if y'all want to read that on your own, that's all good and cool. But definitely, this was a very good reading tonight. You know, we've been on for 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. And so this be a good little place to stop. So I wanted to go ahead and open the floor up right quick about what we're seeing here and just some of the differences between what we've already seen in Genesis and what we see right here in Jasher, the depth of the story. And then, you know, just, oh man, everything so far. Like I said, all of this is so deep. Go ahead, family.
You can go ahead, Sister Sharita. I feel like I'm gonna be a little long-winded, so go ahead, sis.
Um, Definitely, Jasher, I'm gonna keep repeating myself here. It is more in depth. I mean, we don't know these things coming out of Genesis. You know, we just get a glimpse. Oh, you know, uh, a war happened, a fight broke out between so and so, or so and so was angry with so and so. The wrath of so and so was great, and that's all we get. Here, you see a battle going on. You see something like out of, 300 going on here. And I just really enjoy Raw's reading of Jasper. I appreciate even knowing that this book even exists.
I was gonna say real quick, good night, Auntie. Sure enough, appreciate you. I'll go ahead. I ain't mean to cut you off, sis. I just wanted to tell Auntie good night. She said she was on her way out, so I just wanted to
All right,
say peace.
it's
Yeah,
fine. I'm done.
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, just reading the jazz shit is very, very like, I mean, like, it's very detailed and hand clap to Ross for I mean getting through all the difficult words and I mean like it's very, very, but you know, I've read Jasher before and now it's just like, you know, it's like the word always comes back, you know, like this is the Bible is I always tell people that the Bible is in the Bible and some of the especially these books they took out, but the Bible is not a boring book. You know, a lot of people get entertained by love and hip hop and stuff like that, but man, the Bible is not a boring book. You know, it's never been a boring book. You know, like I tell people all the time, like you want some juice, go to the Bible. They got all the juice in the Bible, man. But I wanted to bring up a comment. I don't know, Ross, if you could pull it up. I think Sister Sheila Jackson had put it up, and it really touched me because I mean, because it's so much. Like I said, I got my notebook out. I think she put down. I want to see if I can stir it up real quick. Exactly what she said. It was something about. Let me see. Yeah, she said this is one of the reasons why they don't want us reading these books. I get I even get boldness from reading how the Most High fights with us for. I mean, let me praise y'all. I mean, it's just like this is the point right here. This is the like this like comments like this and like I tell y'all all the time. I'm learning. I'm never here to teach anybody, you know. But that comment right there, as you were reading, because this is she was talking about the first story. You know, we kind of went through two stories, but she's talking about this first story. And this first story kind of, you know what I'm saying, it really touches home because like that's that like they don't want us to read about our history and read about, you know, what the Most High has brung us through. You know what I mean? Ezekiel talk about that, that at the, what he's gonna do for us in the end, we're not gonna deserve it. You know what I mean? And I feel like this, if we'd have learned about this story in the same way that we learned about David and Goliath, like this story, I think like the story of them going through the wars and stuff like that, like it gives you the same inspiration and motivation as David and Goliath gives you. You know what I mean? Like we don't get these stories. They took these books out for a reason. They took these books out that that the Most High always fights for us. You know what I mean? And it just shout out Sister Sheila Johnson for that comment, because it really did something while you were reading it.
Yeah,
And
Sheila Jackson, bro.
yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Sheila Jackson. My bad. I'm sorry, but it really did something for me while you were reading it, because it was just like I wasn't even really paying attention, and I just looked up and saw that, and I read it, and I was like, wow. And I kind of had a moment like how you say, Rouse, when we be in the chats, sometimes you don't even have to say something, and it's like, that's why I'm saying, like, this is so important to us, because in the sense of us reading these books together, we're all learning together. And I'm not up here to teach. I mean, I'm up here to learn. Like, you guys in the chat, like, y'all really like inspire me. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much of a fellowship for when us to get together and let the word, and it's like letting the Most High talk to us. We're all getting a individual lesson from just the word being spoke. You know what I mean? And it really just did something for me. You know what I mean? With that, well, that's the first story. Well, the first story we kind of went through. Now the second story with Jacob, not Jacob, with Joseph, and with Jacob and Joseph, I kind of got a little something out of that with Judah, because I was peeping kind of how Judah basically came up with the idea. He didn't come up with the idea about Joseph. They came up with their own idea. They wanted to kill him at first. And then Judah stepped in and was like, nah, let's sell him, for some silver. And, we won't have the blood on our hands and stuff like that. And it kind of just took me to us. It took me to us, and I kind of see us as a people in here, because I'm not trying to be like to give too much away, give too much spoilers, but I'm hoping
what you gotta say, family.
Hopefully everybody kind of read this story before, and they kind of know how this story goes. This kind of set Judah up for one of those classic Judah moments. Judah, he didn't start it, but he didn't necessarily. He stopped him from killing Joseph, but he didn't necessarily stop him. He didn't void out the whole plan, and that's kind of how we do. We don't void out the whole plan or whatever, but we kind of just come in with our little settle thing, get a little money, get a little cash off of, still doing bad. But Judah set himself up for one of those classic Judah moments when they have to go down there and face Joseph, and Joseph, and they have to, Joseph requests that they bring Benjamin, and Jacob was like, Benjamin ain't going nowhere, and Judah has to take the stand again. And Judah's like, look, I'm not gonna let nothing happen to Benjamin, but we got to take him down here. And then they end up taking Benjamin down there to see Joseph. And
that's later. That's a spoiler alert for later.
That's what I said. That's what I said. The spoiler.
Oh, that's a spoiler alert for later.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, family.
Yeah, I'm saying that. That's why I said I didn't want to do a spoiler, but I was trying to make a point that because when that happens down there, I'm sure everybody's read this story, not in Jasher, but has read this story of Joseph before, and they have to bring Benjamin down there, and so Judah gives Jacob his word that he's nothing gonna happen to Benjamin. And then when Joseph requests that, look, we're gonna take Benjamin, that's when Judah has one of these classic Judah moments, and he steps up, and I guess he was like basically ready to fight Joseph. Or like, look, ain't nothing gonna happen to the little brother. Look, my daddy already like they lost another son, and blah blah blah. And that's when Joseph, and when Judah gets bucked in that moment, and it kind of brings out, and that's when Joseph goes to spill the whole thing that this is Joseph, and they had their family moment, and it's like going back in the story to where we are. This shows that classic, like we see Judah making the, what I'm saying? We see him making the transaction right here, and it's like, but wow, this is gonna set him up having one of those classic Judah moments. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, but see, the idea to sell him came from Reuben.
Right.
Yeah, because it was like, you were right, as far as like the blood on their hands. They just like look, that one part did kind of catch them when Joseph was screaming out, talking about, if y'all decide to kill me, won't Yahuwah require me from you?
Right.
That part stuck out to them, and that's why Reuben had to come up with the idea to go ahead and sell him. Like, look, we don't want his blood. We don't put no hand on him.
Right.
Don't put no hand on him, because if you do, you got to remember all the way back to Cain and Abel. These are stories that we have been passing down all the time.
Right.
And so the advice to sell him versus kill him, because they was gonna go ahead and kill him.
Right.
But after talking it over and everything, the idea had to come out to sell him, to not have his blood on their hands. But if he did die by somebody else's hands, then the blood wouldn't be on their hands.
Right.
So now as far as the classic Judah moment,
right,
I can agree with you, where he kind of set himself up for this Judas thing, later on down the line, the betrayal thing. I could see where you was coming from that aspect.
Right. Right. I wasn't saying in the Judas moment, but I'm saying it seems like we're always that push to go ahead and do it. You see what I mean? We're always that push in a way. Like even with our society, nothing is cool until Black people do it. You see where I'm going with this? Nothing is cool until Black people do it. Until they can get Black people to do something. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? They could make anything cool. They come out with anything, but it's not going to be, the whole world won't do it unless we do it. And that's the effect of Judah. That's what I was pointing out, that.
Okay.
Right. You see what I'm saying? But it sets him up to that classic Judah moment because he ends up stepping up and basically, taking the grief. Like if you go to Genesis and actually read what Judah said to Jacob when they were trying to get Benjamin to come back down there.
Yeah, that's coming up in a little. That's coming up in a couple more. I think probably 4 more chapters.
Right, but
we might got 4 more chapters to go till we get to that part.
Right. But those words were so powerful because they wouldn't have never had to. They wouldn't have been able to explain to, if they wouldn't have been able to take Benjamin. Judah comes up and says these words that basically convince his dad to take Benjamin up there. If he wouldn't have delivered that put them all the way in a bind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, see, Judah was also, once we get to that part, since we've already did some spoiler alerts already.
Right, yeah, that's why.
But Judah stepping up and, he's trying to make right for what he had suggested that was so wrong. Because he was the one that was so bold in wanting to go ahead and kill Joseph to begin with.
Right.
And so scripturally, we look at the jealousy of the brothers, of the other brothers and whatnot, and you can even look at even in Genesis 49. I think it's Genesis 49:10, where Jacob said that the scepter will never depart from Judah.
Right.
meaning the rulership would never depart from Judah. And so, and even though we had Jasher kind of quickly went across that because it was right at the time when Reuben had got jealous of Jacob for sleeping with another one of the handmaids or whatever again, you know,
right.
You know, he was jealous over his mother, so he went to that same one and slept with her too.
Right, and we didn't
defiled his father's bed.
About that a little. We didn't.
So that's why the priesthood passed from Reuben to Levi.
Right.
So there's a couple things right here that, you know, even from Genesis to Jasher, you know, the and then once we get to this part right here with Joseph,
right.
You know, Judah is the one that's supposed to be in charge. You know what I'm saying? Because the knighthood, not the knighthood, but the kingly, the kingship was not to depart from Judah. So he was supposed to be the one to lead to all of them. Because even though Reuben was the firstborn, you know, since he defiled his father's bed, all his rights as being the firstborn got passed to Judah.
Judah.
And then the priesthood that he was supposed to inherit got passed to Levi. So with Reuben being the firstborn, we can see scripturally that either one of those could have befell on Reuben, but when Reuben messed up and defiled his father's bed, all the best rights went beyond him and went to Judah and Levi.
Right.
So then once we get to this part right here, Judah led the charge on going to try to kill Joseph. And if it wasn't for Reuben making the idea to sell him, they probably would have killed him.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they would have just left him in the pit to die.
Right
then and there. But it's still his blood still would have been on their hands because they put him there to begin with.
Right.
And so later on, back to the spoiler alert thing, Judah was trying to make right what he had suggested that was so wrong from the very get-go concerning Joseph. So, and that's why he took it upon himself to fulfill his promise to Jacob, his father, concerning taking Benjamin up to Egypt at the request of Joseph.
Right.
Before he revealed that he was Joseph.
Yeah, this is all so good, man. Like we're just learning so much, you know. Even when you know, I said that, you know, I've read Jasher before, and but we've all read Genesis before, but this is all just seeming so new to us. You know what I mean? Like it all just, I don't know about how y'all feel, but like it all like something new comes out within the word every time you read it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So true. So true, Auntie. Definitely. And as Shayla Jackson was saying, Judah is truly the leader of all the tribes to this day. Yes, indeed. So, but yeah, all this is so good. I can't wait. Can't wait till Thursday. Are y'all gonna be available on Thursday? Actually, let me take a look at my schedule right quick before I end up saying something. I can't fulfill. I ain't trying to.
Even though I told y'all I love doing this, man. I love just coming together with you guys in fellowship. Even you guys in the chat, it's all fellowship to me. Like I love just just saying shalom and somebody saying shalom back it does so much for just to walk in the faith. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I work a double tomorrow, and then I go in at 5 o'clock on Thursday. Yeah, I serve tables, family. So if y'all didn't know that, now y'all know. So that's why my schedule be all kinds of screwy. If y'all ever served tables before, then y'all already know. Server schedule is never nothing etched in stone. It's always wish-washy this way or that way. So I won't be available again until Shabbat on Saturday.
Okay, that sounds good.
But I definitely can't wait to get back into reading these scripts again because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so good because I can't wait to get to the G fight.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I was just about to point out. I said, they mentioned the cave again. Y'all pay attention to the cave now.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be something that's going to stick out in some folks' head too, as we keep talking about it. The cave at Machpelah.
Yeah,
That's where
my
all the patriarchs have been buried at. Adam, Eve, Abraham, Rebecca, all of them. Everybody is buried there. All our patriarchs are buried there.
Right. And it's gonna go down over the insurance money. That's how we go to
the insurance money. Oh, you right though. That's about the most modern way to go ahead and associate it. Yeah, they all tripping over the insurance money.
the inheritance.
The inheritance, the life insurance plan.
Oh, I forgot to point out that too, because we was reading. Remember they said Nathalie, he took off running and he was so fast, killed all them people while we was just reading.
Mhm.
But remember, man, that's a spoiler though, man. That's another spoiler.
Oh yeah, but see with they would they don't really talk about Naphtali's speed until a little bit later, but he was so fast, like, and not only that, but he had hops.
Right.
He had ridiculous hops.
Right.
I mean, because it took all of Judah's strength to go ahead, even after he prayed, to go ahead and leap and bound from the earth straight up to the top of the wall, pretty much, to where he can try to scale the wall. Right. Well, when Naphtali done it, he got up to the top of the wall too. But then by the time, they really start getting into Naphtali and everything and what he was doing at that war, he jumped from one wall to the next wall.
The next one. Yeah.
And this city had 3 walls. So it's like a city inside of a city inside of a city.
Right.
And
that jumping is
from the first wall to the second wall.
That jumping is a cornerstone.
Right.
Because we know that there's a tribe in Africa that has some really good hops.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it just now. But that's their thing. They can jump, oh gosh, like 6 feet from a standing position.
Oh goodness.
Straight up in the air.
Man.
Yeah, that's man.
I was gonna bust a joke. I was about to say, man, it's called them some Italian.
They probably do. See, that's just it. We just don't. We lost our way as a tribe and as a nation, and I can only hope and pray that we. I mean, I already know it's written that we're gonna come back.
Right.
So it's not that I should have to sit here and hope and pray that we come back. I'm just hoping and praying that we come back sooner than we can all expect. I'm praying that we can get it through our thick oppressed skulls of who we are, and heal our hoods and heal our households. I can't stress that enough. I say it. I'm gonna keep saying it and keep saying it and keep saying it, because eventually somebody has got to, take this same narrative and spread it. Heal your hood, heal your household. We got to do this, family. We got to do this. That's all part of our charge. Oh, Auntie Cam too was saying what time. So what time y'all gonna be available on Shabbat?
On Shabbat?
Yeah.
All day for me. I'll be all day again. I ain't working another one.
All right. What about you, sis?
I'm not actually sure what Saturday's schedule looks like.
All right.
What time were y'all thinking?
Probably about right around the same time, 7 or 8.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
I mean, if we can be ready by 6, that'd be great too.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
cool with me on Shabbat.
Okay.
It's cool with me.
Yeah, right around sundown.
Okay. Okay. Sounds like a winner.
Show enough. That sounds good. Just definitely let us know, so that way we don't, jump in ahead of you and you ain't able to make it just yet.
No, 6 will be good.
All right, that's what's up. All right, family. I want to go ahead and take us out in prayer. I do want to apologize. It hit me after we had already got started that I didn't start up in prayer. We didn't start up in prayer. So I think that's something that definitely needs to start happening more often is praying before reading and definitely going out in prayer. So I do want to say, Misa Laki, if you made it to this part in the video and you was a little upset with me for not, coming into prayer before reading, I get it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. So from here on out, we want to try to go ahead and do that. So that way we know that we're instructed by the Most High Yah. All right. So let's go ahead and bow our heads and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessings you've given us and the blessings that you will give. But most importantly, thank you for the love that you gave us to save us. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for everybody that tuned in with us tonight. Thank you for allowing us to read your word, dialogue over it, study it, and try to learn from it, that you will speak to us and show us the things that have been hidden from us. Not only that, but so we understand who we are. So we understand the compassion that we're supposed to have for one another as a nation. We know the confidence and the strength that we're supposed to move in as a nation, because that is one of the most important things that we do not have a full grasp of, Father, and that's what we need. We need your strength and your power within us to be confident, to move as your children, as these scriptures show that we used to move. These scriptures that you've given us, your word has told us and showed us, Father, that we are a mighty and peculiar people. And so it's the might that you give us. It's your strength that you've given us. It's you as our Father that we glorify, that we exalt, Father, that we are trying to bring back to our nation as just regular old people. Near one of us is exalted in being somebody's pastor, preacher, minister. Neither one of us are even seeking that kind of a title. But as just regular children of the Most High Yah, we know that you gave us kingdom money, Father. We know good and well that your kingdom money is knowledge and wisdom and understanding of the scriptures. And that's all we're trying to do is multiply that kingdom money that you gave us to multiply. And you told us to do it freely and willingly, but only be cautious of the swine, so that we do not cast off wisdom of pearls or our pearls of wisdom to the swine that will not respect it nor understand it. But we still beg and pray for this kingdom money to come our way so we can give it freely, multiply it, and be your children as you called us to be. And with that being said, in your holy and precious, beautiful name, in the name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. And in your name, Father, Ahaya, Ashur Ahaya, I am that I am, we pray. Amen.
Man, hallelujah.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much, family. Thank you so much for tuning in, joining in with us. Can't wait to do it again. Can't wait till Shabbat. I pray that we all keep learning from this and we all just heal our hoods, heal our households. Family?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just touched, man. I mean, I'm just this is such a beautiful thing that we're doing, man. I just give all praise to the Most High, man, and I love you, Israel. Shalom.
I hope that everybody got another piece of armor on tonight to protect us in the days, the months, the years, the life to come. Shalom, family.
Real quick, since my lovely sister Ruhama A, she put me on the spot today, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all just one quick thing that I found today, because she put me on the spot today talking about the music, and asked me when I can do a ladies' night show. I'm working on it, sis. But one of the videos in which I came across today, brand new to me, and I know all y'all women out there gonna love this. We were just talking about some of this earlier, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit y'all off with some of this woolly hair anthem. I don't know if y'all ladies heard this yet, but if you haven't heard it, here you go.
Being born again, breaking away, renewed standard beauty. What's your definition? Good hair. The lighter, the brighter, the better? Is it to survive, to keep your job, to keep your man? But it's your wool, beautiful. 9 billion to keep you fooled. Sodium hydroxide to burn it through. Killing your roots.
Black girl magic, curly girl swing into habit. Clean beard men, best looking things on the planet. Good God, your hair is fully made by the author of beauty. Your hair is the best hair in the universe. Nothing about it is regular, damn. Tell your haters to step aside. Natural bully, it's on the rise. We don't hate our hair, we love it to life, and we just wanna say goodbye to. We say bye bye to the relaxing industry. The wild official just be happy. We coming back to our true self. I am looking like the Hebrew I know I am. I am looking like the Hebrew I know I am. I am looking like the Hebrew I know I am. I am Hebrew. Bully head. Bully head. Bully The fashion of this world is passing away, but your dark skin will always remain. Hair like wool, skin like brass, like it's burning in a furnace, and it's even deeper than the surface. We can understand why they get nervous, but to hide it would be a disturbance. Your hair reaches the sky on purpose. We say bye bye to the relaxing industry. I don't wish you just be we coming back to our true self. Never blind. I am looking like the Hebrew I know I am. I am looking like the Hebrew I know I am. I am looking like the Hebrew I know I am. I am Hebrew. Bully head. Bully head. Bully Black girl magic, curly girl swing into habit. Clean beard men, best looking things on the planet. Black girl magic, curly girl swing into habit. Clean beard men, best looking things on the planet.
Who said Most High's hair is no good? Who said his hair needs relaxing, texturizing, blonding? Praise, name, and honor is due. The best above all, thus saith the Lord. Take pride like foremother Judith, King Solomon, Christ the King, Most High God of Israel. Natural woolly people, shine. Image is everything. Shine. Holy and peculiar people, shine. Natural and woolly people, shine. Daniel 7, verse 9.
Yeah, that's just a little sneak peek at the ladies' night show that's coming soon. I'm trying. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
beautiful.
Ross, man, look, I like that one, man. I like that one. Look, my daughter even came over here listening. She was like, I like that. She was like, she said hair like wool, feet like brass.
Mm-hmm.
Me like, look, hey, like, I like that one. She looking it up on YouTube right now.
Yep, it's the woolly head
That's
anthem.
good.
Is it on YouTube?
Oh yeah, you see,
Yeah,
look, she right there.
that's all to the good. Let me try
Walk
to
over to the
let-
look, everybody here. Say shalom.
Hi,
how you
shalom.
doing? Shalom, youngin.
Shalom.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to find the link right now. Actually, I don't know about the link because I went through a lot of videos today. Let me
She went and grab her phone, her iPad.
it's all good. Let me see here. Trying to go into all these videos I got right here.
Yeah, drop it in the chat or something. Yeah, cause I'm definitely going. She, she's a music fanatic, kind of like I was, and it's always something good to have her really jamming to. It was like she was like, hold up, what that is, you know?
Let's see here. Let me go into my actual full-on history of stuff, and I will put the link in there. Because I was going through so much music today, trying to find lots more R&B, some more reggae, some more, definitely some more lady artists that I didn't have or songs that I didn't have, and I found a good amount more, and so I'm can't wait to start adding them on in. Um, Goodness. Where is it? Oh my goodness. I'm having trouble finding this. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Hey, Rawls, I was just about to say, look, you too late. We found it.
Yeah, see,
We found it.
well, that's good. That's good that she found it. There's a link to it right there, just in case. But that's what's up. So, family, I can't wait. I can't wait. So much work. So much work. And then there's man, I'm waiting for Miss Judah to come up with some more songs too, because she's got a pretty complicated catalog. I gotta say. I mean, I appreciate Miss Judah's music because she's got some tracks, but at the same time she's got a couple tracks to where you can see the struggle and what she's been going through and things like that. So I don't know what to say. If you know who Miss Judah is, then you know. I think she's out of Memphis, Tennessee, and like I said, I like her music. I do. And one of my favorites that I can't really play all the time is called "A Pressure Makes a Wise Man Mad." And when I posted that on the Hebrew Sphere, I had to make sure I put "not for the squeamish." because when she go in, she go in. She went in on that track. And that song is not for the squeamish. But you can definitely look that up. Miss Judah is Jewduh, and it's called "A Pressure Make a Wise Man Mad." So look that up on your own. And once you see it, you be like, oh, now I know what Rawls was talking about. I see why. Oh man, I know if I play that right there on, they'll chop my channel, probably. So, other than that, we got lots more music from Tawab Parya, and brought some more music back from AI, which is All In. Um, she goes by AI the Anomaly, but that's All In, not the artificial intelligence. But other than that, family, I'm ready to hop off of here and check and see what Sister E talking about right now, because I know they going in. So, holler at y'all later, family. Salama, shalom, yemi, shalom to you all, family. And we'll see y'all again on Shabbat. Peace.